This episode is sponsored by the Asmodee Studio Dotted Games. Hello and welcome to episode 53 of the Board Game Geek podcast, where we geek out about board games, the mechanisms behind them, and the people who create them. I'm your host, Candace Harris, and I'm super excited and exhausted, but really excited to be here today with Jay Bernardo, a friend of mine who runs the Cardboard East YouTube channel, and he's also the marketing manager at Bezier Games. How's it going, Jay?
I am COVID-free and exhausted. But I'm super thrilled to be here, Candace. I'm a big fan of the podcast and BGG and you. So it's just, I'm just feeling overwhelmed.
Oh, thanks so much, Jay. Yeah, I think, what did we meet at PAX Unplugged last year or something like that?
Yeah, we met for the first time at PAX Unplugged. And I remember you like, can dice is how you introduce yourself.
Well, what's funny about that is just in Germany, I have a lot of people, I don't know if it's just people from England that call me Candice. They pronounce my name Candice, and it doesn't bother me. I actually think it's kind of cute, but it came up twice on one day where people from the UK were asking how to pronounce my name properly.
Candice, it's so sultry.
I know. I really like it. I like that. The only thing that bothers me is when people call me Candy, which nobody does. And also when people spell my name ACE. That's why I say dice. Candice.
Yeah, someone that I work with on our Amazon team that I correspond with is Candace with a K and two A's. So if in our correspondence, if I misspell your name, please, that's just.
I will never forgive you, Jay. I will never forgive you.
Well, you will, Candy. You will.
Jay already had me cracking up because when the intro music was playing, he's like dancing, and this is episode 53, and I see people bobbing their heads when I record with them, but that was a wonderful performance, 10 out of 10.
Thank you.
I wish I was recording the video footage, but unfortunately, this is an audio-only podcast, so I'm the only one who got to see your dance moves.
Life is about showing up, so you got to show up. Show out.
It's very, I guess, a little bit ironic that we scheduled this back at Gen Con for you to have a chat with me after Spiel, and Aldi didn't, having no awareness of this, randomly gave you a shout out on the last episode. For people who aren't familiar with Cardboard East, your YouTube channel, you want to just kind of give the lowdown of what it's all about and also your time living in Asia, like epic.
Yeah, I Cardboard East is, I play board games from Asia and I share what I find with all of you. This is what I say in every episode. It began because I'm originally from Texas, and then somewhere in my mid-20s, you have your mid-20s life crisis where you're like, I wake up, I go to work, and I go home, and that's going to be my life. And so I decided to bug out, and I went to Taiwan, and ended up living there for 18 years.
Wow.
Which is, a long time. So when I first got there weren't many board gamers. And some of the board gamers that I found were college students. And I would just hang out with them and play. And I learned a lot of Chinese through that. Like I learned how to say like some gamer terms like draw a card, play a card, little things like that, throw dice. And so, but now flash forward 18 years later, a lot of those people from that group are now publishers in Taiwan.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and it's weird. I felt like there was one point where I just wanted to give back to Taiwan for being so good to me, and I decided to create content about to celebrate like Taiwanese games, and that spread to Japan, Korea, India, Singapore, Indonesia. It's been a wild adventure for me the last few years, and then I think last year I got a job offer to take up the head of marketing at Bezier Games back in America. And I talked it over with my wife and we're like, yeah, let's go. And so And then today is exactly 1 year since I came back to America. So it's been a weird trip. Like for a reference for people, because 18 years, it sounds like this amphibious year. I left America before the iPhone was a thing.
Whoa.
So and coming back to, like tip culture, to like housing being what it is today.
Wow.
It's been very different. And getting to know like an old friend like America has been a real challenge for me. And it's been really interesting to have this reverse culture shock of living.
Wow. Yeah, 18 years is a while.
And when we met at PAX U. And so that was my first North American board game convention in the 21st century. Like I went to Milwaukee for Gen Con.
Wow.
Which is light years different than what it is today.
Whoa.
So it's just wildly different. So it's the industry has grown a lot. I think last time I checked it's like 12 to 15 billion worldwide. Still, tiny peas and carrots compared to that, which is video games. But it's been a wild ride. So now I just do Cardboard East and working at Bezier. But Cardboard East allows me to celebrate board games from Asia. Living in Taiwan is probably one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. Learning to speak the language, learning to speak Chinese allowed me to view a different culture completely differently. Seeing how you use different words to express different emotions that are just slightly different than English. And it just seems like different cultures tell different stories, and different stories are represented differently in games. And that's kind of the idea behind Cardboard East. And I just love sharing what I find with everyone because it's been a wild ride.
That's so awesome. Oh. That's so awesome. Man, I thought I was doing something by moving to LA from Philadelphia.
Oh, no,
that's nothing.
Philly to LA, don't sell yourself short. Philly to LA is a huge transition. And LA, and most people I know that move to LA, they all have the same thing. Like the first year, they hate it. And they're thinking about moving back. And then they're like, I kind of love it here.
No, I've tell you the truth, I've been in honeymoon stage with LA ever since I moved here in 2009. So I just hit 15 years out here. And the iPhone was out when I moved. And I had one, but now I'm a Google Pixel user.
You've crossed to the dark side.
That's a story for another day. But but since we're both recovering from, I haven't really talked to you much, so I don't know. But I had an awesome trip to Germany.
Oh yeah,
I'm assuming you did too.
Amazing.
Loved it. Awesome. Can't wait to hear more about it. So today we're going to discuss our SPIEL Essen 2024 highlights and discoveries. Jay and I managed to bump into each other on setup day, the day before the show opened. And I was going in because there was an evening event and you were leaving after, I guess, doing booth setup. And we literally bumped into each other on the sidewalk outside of the messe and got to catch up for like 60 seconds. And
Needle
that
in
was
a haystack.
it.
Needle in a haystack. No, I think I saw you once.
Did we see each other once?
I think we were on opposite sides of Hall 3. Like I saw you like down the alley going the opposite way. And if you've ever been in Hall 3, if you don't know what Hall 3 is the longest hall.
Yeah.
And it's just painful to walk through. And then I saw you like 10 feet away. I'm like, she's good. I don't want to cross that path.
Hall 3 is crazy. I mean, that's like the hall that has the strategy / expert games. It's just the whole time we were there, like the most packed, hard to walk through, but great stuff, of course. And we were just kind of talking about the challenges of coming home with games, packing suitcases, and just trying to like punch games so that you get your suitcase weights down and all that. Craziness.
You are an Olympic swimmer shaving seconds, just like punching everything out, and then you're nesting things like Russian Matryoshka dolls, like inside, trying to squeeze as much space as you can.
So I didn't do as much of that this year as I have in the past, partially because I brought back a lot of smaller games this year. Most of the bigger games I ended up shipping back
Bless
via
your
BGG.
heart.
So
the prices for shipping were wow.
Yeah,
I think it was like 30 kilograms was like €235. Wow.
I don't know all the logistics of it, but I'm thankful for the people at BGG who helped take care of that and ship the stuff back to Dallas and then eventually to me. But
It's good to work for the Empire. It's good to work for the Empire.
I didn't even bring back that many, shipping or otherwise, in my luggage, big games, which is good because I already have, like, for example, I got a review copy of Oathsworn shipped to me that delivered. Like, I have some big games already here to play that I'm really excited about too. So I was like, all right, let me try to keep it real with what I'll actually get to play because I have some games from last year's Essen that I still haven't gotten to the table.
Shame.
But I'm going to fix that. But I had to tell a quick story, though, speaking of, like, nesting games. Last year, I did that. I think it was last year. It could have been 2 years ago. But I ended up, like, packing components for whatever year 1880 China got reprinted. That from Lookout Games. I don't remember if that was last year or 2 years ago. But I ended up taking components, track tiles from that. I'm packing other things in different game boxes. And I ended up losing the one of the key components for
no.
What is the game? You're gonna help me with this because it is an Asian game. It's like city building. Electropolis.
Yes,
I got a copy of Electropolis that year. It wasn't brand new, but I had put components in other boxes and it took me forever to find it. And now another one that you might know that I probably can't think of. It's from an Asian publisher. It is, as of whenever I got it, maybe last year, it wasn't even in the BGG database. It's a big box. It's like a negotiation game that can be played in like 90 minutes. Most of the cover is black. It has some.
Oh, I know this. This is from a Taiwanese publisher called Board Game Nations.
Okay.
And it's on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look it up on the board game wiki.
Yeah, because I'm like, so here's the thing. Now I cannot find that rule book. So I have all the components for that game, but I know I brought it back to the States because I've seen it. I was like reading it one day and I have like since been trying to find that rule book. So
they should a corrupt parliament. That's
corrupt parliament. Yes. So hopefully I'll get to play that this year.
Yeah, it's the negotiation tractor for that is really interesting. Like I like that you could have, and the rulebook is on BGG. So
okay, yeah, it wasn't when last time I looked, but that's good to know.
I love that this negotiation is because like in most negotiations, it's all verbal, it's all talking and stuff. But this one is you get an envelope, and you only have a finite amount of envelopes in the game, and you stuff the envelope with stuff. And then you tell them what's in it, but you can totally lie.
Of course.
And then you give them the envelope and they look inside and they say yes or no. And it's so
And they
clever.
can lie too, huh?
Yeah. And it's so clever is that like you could say like, I'll give you, 10,000, but really you gave them 15.
Ooh.
Or you could say, I'll give you 10,000, but really you gave them 5. And there are all these little layers that go into that promise. I think that mechanic is so fascinating.
I saw it demoed and I was like, I gotta bring this big box home.
And yeah, it's a wild game. The artwork and the ideas that are in that game, like the emergent ludological narrative. I think it's the emergent ludological narrative. It's not all fancy.
Well, cool. I'm gonna, now that I know the rule book is out there digitally, I'm gonna have to play that game because I was so excited about it last year and, read the rule book, sat it somewhere, maybe put it inside another game box, have no idea. Anyway, I want to hear more about Spiel Essen 2024 from you from this year, but I'd love to hear what you've been playing lately, Jay. So let's jump into fresh plays.
Woohoo!
prior to Essen, because we'll talk about Essen games in a bit, like what have you been playing recently?
Well, it's I've been playing a lot of Essen releases. So leading up to Essen, so naturally there's a lot of things that lead up to it. One of the things I've been playing a lot of is a game called Shinjuku, and it came out this year, I believe, at Tokyo Game Market in spring. And it was originally print and play by designer Gary. Oh, I apologize, Gary. Kakmarsik, I believe. I totally butchered that. I apologize, Gary. And I've met Gary, and I should have asked him how to say his last name. But anyway.
It happens, yeah.
It got picked up by a Japanese publisher, Rigoleur. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that one. But it got pronounced, and it's a fascinating game, and I love it. And so far, it's been my favorite game from Asia that I played from 2024. And then it got picked up by an Italian publisher, Studio Supernova, or the Supernova Studio. No, Studio. That means they produce supernovas, right? So obviously it's Studio Supernova. And they redid the artwork, and I believe that they talked to some publishers at Spiel, and they might see an even wider release, which is even more exciting. But what I love most about it is that it is a pick up and deliver game. And most of the time with pick up and deliver games, I'll tell people, hey, look, if it's not your jam, it probably won't change your mind. But this one, I think it will. This one, I think it will change your mind because it will play in under an hour, guaranteed. And it's so fascinating. It's called Shinjuku because Shinjuku is the largest train station in Tokyo. And you are building stores. And there are all these customers all around. And when you pick up and deliver, you pick up all the customers in one district, and then you kind of Makala drop them along a path. And on that path, if the store matches one of the customers in your hand, you put it on there, whether it be at your store or your opponent's.
Ooh.
So the idea is that you're going to build a line of your stores with your own track, but your opponents, because they're very clever and want to get in your way, will put track along that path, forcing, and you could use their track without any problems, but they get to draw cards. And then they'll put their stores in your path as well. So that way you're forced to feed them points.
Ah. Cool.
And I just love this game that you're forced to be in each other's way. And I think that is so captivating to me. And it follows this pandemic system where if you want to take an action in one district, you have to discard a card in that district. And there are ways to get wilds. So card draw is incredibly important. But like, there's also a kaiju mechanic, which is so hilarious. Is that there's a Godzilla, and eventually he'll move, and the players will take turns moving him. And if you move him into a district, then all the customers in that district will run away, and then none of the tracks in that district will work. But it's a good way to kind of push the customers where you want them to go. I mean, everyone's still shopping, which is hilarious. It's like, oh yeah, Godzilla's there, but he's over there on the next block. I'm still gonna get some shopping done. And so it's just so fascinating. It's one of those games where you play halfway through and you're like, oh, this is even better than I thought, and
that's
I can't
awesome.
wait to play it again. Yeah, this is Shinjuku by Studio Supernova, and it is going to be released, I believe, later on in Q4 and maybe Q1. It's still hazy there.
Gotcha. Cool. So I guess on my travels to Europe for Spiel, I wanted to bring some games with me, but it's like, you don't want to bring a bunch because you're bringing a bunch back.
Yes.
So I decided to kind of look around. I brought a couple wallet games, and I also had this game that was sitting in shrink on my shelf that I've been wanting to try, and I was like, I'm going to bring this. And it's a game called Inheritors. It's a 2022 release published by Ice Makes, and also in the US North Star Game Studio, who hooked me up with a review copy at some point, maybe at Gen Con or PAX last year. I don't remember. I honestly do not remember, but I have it, and I've been wanting to try it out because Monique from Before You Play talked about it before. It sounded kind of cool. And again, small box for traveling. So it's designed by Jeffrey CCH and Kenneth YWN. and it plays with
Wild.
2 to 4 players. Yeah. I don't know if that is a coincidence that both designer last names are acronyms of some sort. But anyway, this is an open drafting hand management card game. Thematically, the king is dead and we're fighting to take over the throne. And the way the game is played, there's a deck of the main cards, which are these like influence cards. There are 14 cards of each of 5 colors. And the highest numbered card in each color is 6. And the second highest is 5. And there's only one copy of those numbers, but like each color has 4 1 cards as an example. Ooh. And I think either 3 or 4 2s, you know. So you have a couple of those, but for each color, there's only 1 5 and there's only 1 6. And sort of Lost City style, you're going to be playing cards into your tableau to try to gain influence in these different colors.
Oh, so it's like a lane battler?
Yeah, not really. Not in that. So I guess the more like Lost Cities part is that the way you're building up your stacks, but yeah, it's not a lane battler. So what's going to happen is on your turn, like everybody starts with I think 10 cards, a hand of 10 cards. And on your turn, the main thing you'll probably be doing is playing one of the influence cards from your hand. Mm-hmm. But you always have to start each stack with the 1. And then once I have a yellow 1, I can put a yellow 2 on it. And then I put a yellow 3. So you have to go up incrementally. There is a way with a special card you can play that you can skip one number as long as one of your opponents has more influence in that color. So, okay. So that's cool. So at the end of the game, your like base level of points is going to be whatever number is highest on any of your influence stacks. So like maybe I get to 5 for purple, 3 is my highest for green. That's 8 points, you know? So that's kind of like one of your main engines of points, but there are a couple twists here. Ooh. Number 1, you have 5 clans that are like pertaining to these colors, mm-hmm. and each clan has an animal representing it. And in the game, there are 2 different animals that have unique abilities for each color. So you're only going to play with one set, like 1 purple, 1 green, 1 blue, mm-hmm. 1 red, 1 yellow. Once you have at least 3 influence with a faction, if their clan card is still available, you can take it, and then you have that ability for the rest of the game.
Rad.
It's very cool. Some of them are like immediate effects that are just like really powerful. Some of them give you a cool card or 2 that you can use when you want to. But there's always, you know, this like race to get to the one that you want. And they're all super duper cool. So that's one little twist. Then you also have honor cards, which are these public objectives. So you'll, I think, put out 5 of those in a like 3-player game. Mm-hmm. Put out 5 of those. And so that's another thing we're racing for. Each of those are worth 1 point. Hey, the minute I get a 6 on a stack, or if I have 2 stacks with at least 4 influence, I can claim that if I'm the first person to, you know, fulfill that objective. So you have public objectives, and then you have these face down quest cards as well. And one of your actions could be to discard 3 cards of the same color to claim a quest and draw a card. Quests are secret objectives that are maybe like, hey, at the end of the game, a quest is always worth 1 point as a base. But if you meet the objective, you get a 2nd point. So it could be like at the end of the game, if you have at least 2 yellow cards in your hand, or if you have at least 2 2s in your hand, stuff like that. So you're racing to get the quest, because it's like this is very much a game where you're playing the players. Like if I see, Jay, that you took a quest, ooh, I can't sleep on that and let you keep taking quests.
Sure you can. There's no shame in that.
I can't do it. But the other aspect of this game that I haven't revealed yet is that there's a market row of cards that are splayed. So there are 3 columns. They call them rows in the game. They're columns, but they're columns. So one of the things you can do on your turn is discard a card from your hand to any of these columns. And these cards are splayed out so you could see everything that's in the column. And then you could just draw 2 cards. That could be your turn. But the other thing you can do, so these columns of cards are going to gradually get more and more cards. So you can take a whole column if you discard to another column either the same number or same value. So there are things going out that you're going to be trying to get. Because remember I said each color only has 1 5 and 1 6. And there are also these relic cards. And it's just super good. And then the other cards that have powers, like there's a spy, a conspirator, and an advisor that lets you kind of manipulate what cards you're getting. But I think I've played this 6 times or so on my travels to Essen. And each time the scores, like in a 3-player game, are within 5 points. So it's like from really first to last, really tight. So every single point matters. And it's so addictive, especially if you lose by 1 point, you're like, let's go again. And you start thinking like, dang, if I would have just taken that quest, or dang, if I would have beat this person to, getting that honor. And you have to like watch what other people are doing. Cause it's like, Jay, if you're super ahead of me on getting to this honor, I should just give up on that and try to do something else.
You're too kind. I'll probably be behind.
But anyway, I really, really dug this game. I like that it's kind of a meaty experience that plays in 45 minutes or so, but small box, slightly big table presence, but not like huge. But it's just a really... It's right up my alley, kind of.
The art is fantastic. And
yes,
I'm looking at the Bear Clan leader with his William Shakespeare collar and dope. And I realized that this is a Hong Kong publisher. So like the publishers, the designers' names, they have the initials in the back. That's probably their Chinese name. Like their initials of their actual Chinese name. But everyone in Asia, be it like in China, Korea, or Japan or Taiwan, they all have an English name. 9 times out of 10, it's like Jeffrey, Tom. Every now and then you get like one of my students, his name was Tank, because he's like this. It was perfect because he was like short, stocky kid. Very, very funny.
Wow. Do the parents come up with the English name, or is it?
Sometimes.
Okay.
And then sometimes I had to tell the parents, like, no, you can't choose that name. And like, you can, but you're going to have problems.
Yeah.
Like, there was a girl whose name was Heaven. And I told them, I was like, you could name her Heaven. That's fine. But in America, if she interacts with Americans, like, people might think she's a stripper. Because it's just...
Yeah.
And I explained that to her. She's like, well, really? That's impossible. Why was it? It's just... cultural things
it has that kind of
it does. But Inheritors is from Ice Makes, which is a Hong Kong publisher. I think they're most, and I knew of them because I played their old game Age of Civilization, which I really enjoyed, which is a tiny Civ game.
I got it. I know. So after I loved Inheritors, I was like, what else have these designers done? And Jeffrey CCH designed Age of Civilization, which I had never heard of. So I went to Ice Makes and I bought both Age of Civilization and Age of Galaxy, and I'm stoked to play them.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I've heard people like Age of Galaxy more. It might just be the sci-fi theme.
Right.
Like Americans really love sci-fi. Not all cultures love sci-fi.
Yeah.
I find that utterly bizarre. But yeah, they also did Eila and Something Shiny, which is like this very cute but very dark game. Like
story kind of driven game, right?
Yeah, story dark. Like some really, I don't want to ruin it for anyone, but like some deep things happen. You're like,
okay.
That make you reflect in a corner by yourself after you play.
Oh,
like,
snap.
Okay.
Awesome.
I should totally, oh man, that's another publisher that I missed.
Okay. Well, you got to check this one out. And that is Inheritors, a game from 2022 that I just played for the first time in 2024. What else have you been playing lately?
I've been playing Nukumi, Onsen, Kaitakuki. And that's a lot to unpack just in that name there.
Yeah.
So Nukumi is the name of this fictional land. Onsen is like a traditional hot spring hotel in Japan. Kaitakuki is a way of saying like a journal. So it's like the journal of the construction of this hot spring town. There's a little village there. Okay. It's essentially Orleans, like a bag building game. Orleans, but with unique player powers.
Gotcha.
Which is super, super fun. This is from the publisher of Kudo-san no Gemo, and which is it's a funny name for a publisher. I'll get that in a second. The designer is Kudo-san. So his name is Kudo. Like san is like the very honorific ending for the name. And so the publisher is Kudo-san no Gemo, which translates to Kudo's Games.
Okay.
So it's like designed by Candace, publisher Candace's Games. He originally came out with a game called Nukumi Onsen Hanjouki, which is like Agricola, but instead of building a farm, you're bringing a hot spring hotel.
Ooh,
and instead of being regulated to three, like a farm of 3x5, like you are in Agricola, there are no restrictions. So it kind of, you're a lot more freedom to kind of play with these rooms as you kind of Tetris them together and create like these little combos and scoring points. But that was a big success. It was really popular, and then it got picked up by a bigger Japanese publisher called Hobby Base, which is a very Japanese, where sometimes they have English names. You know, it's just cool that way. And they got released on Amazon JP, became a huge success. And then Hobby Base picked up all the expansions and put it into one expansion, released that on Amazon JP, another big success. So a lot of people were excited when they heard that there's a sequel, which is Nukumi Onsen Kaitakuki, which is the Orleans game with player powers. And now you're building the whole town of Nukumi instead of just one little hot spring. And it's my wife's favorite game. I love playing this game. And I've been playing a lot because I found out that it's going to be demoed at SPIEL 2024. It's like, this is exciting. So I try to reach out and find out like, hey, is this for sale? Can people buy this? That's so cool. And then like, no, it's just for demo. So I presumed that it's because Hobby Base picked it up and they're going to release their version on Amazon JP. And just like before, they tweaked the math a little bit, like new room here, new room there. So when I finally got there to the Japan brand booth, I saw it there. I got super excited because I saw people playing it. And I was like, oh, this is so great. Because I love this game. I want more people to find it and experience it. And I realized that the board is different. And they have two new characters. So I took pictures of them.
Okay.
And they developed a double-sided board. So now there's a 4-player side and there's a 2 to 3-player side. So naturally, the map is a lot smaller. So you're bumping elbows a little bit more.
Nice.
So I took pictures of that. And so I played the new version with my wife and the new characters. We just kind of like P&P'd it together. And I'm just having a lot of fun. It's in this game. It's only 5 rounds, which is so short. And before you know it, it's over. But it's a bag building game. Cool. And you're trying to build buildings that give different points, but you have to lean into your character. So one that if my wife is having a bad day, I'll give her the chef because I know the chef strategy is pretty straightforward and he's really hard to defeat. So the chef is, the chef is really good. And if you get him going, like he starts building these restaurants and they're like 23 points a pop. Boom, boom, boom. So like my building score might be like 80 points and her building points might be like 150. And I'm like, it was a good game. It was a good game.
Good husband there.
And then like there's like and they have like different characters. Like there's a con man who has a lot of money. There's a gentleman he's really good at building hotels. There's a beer girl who just gets lots of dice rolling and there's tons of fun. And it has one of my favorite first player mechanics was that there's a cat in the town, like a town cat. And if you can catch the cat, then you get to go first next round. And then the cat is immediately going to run to somewhere else.
That's cool. That's so cool.
And it's so fun because like you catch a cat, you go first, but then maybe the cat appears next to someone else. And they're like, oh, I'm going to catch the cat. Like, and so
that's cool.
Yeah, and I really love this New Orleans style of like you're building your character up, you're getting more and more cards. There are helpers that you can hire that'll give you discounts, kind of like the helpers in like Agricola will give you special deals and little abilities. And you have like this little army of workers with you that's helping you rolling and controlling the town of Nukumi as you're building it.
That's so cool.
And the buildings are really cute. Like there's like these golden cat statues that you could build.
Nice.
Because they just love cats there, which is I think is pretty cool. And there's like this little race that you have. Like there are resources and there's gold, and gold is a wild resource. But if you can get 3 gold and you're able to pull them out, draw them on when your turn, then you can build the bank, which is like a whopping like 40 points.
Cool.
So there's a little bit of different strategies that you can play at. And then before you know it, boom, it's done because it's only 5 rounds. And I'm super excited that it's there. And I talked to them and they said that it should be released. They didn't want to promise things too much. Like when you talk to Japanese publishers, they're like, they're hesitant to release things.
Commit to a date. Yeah.
Yeah. But I believe that because Hobby-Base picked it up, it's going to be released on Amazon JP, which means it's going to be extremely easy to find because Amazon JP will deliver to lots of places in the world. So I'm very, very excited about that. I'm excited that more people can play it.
Sweet.
Yeah. But this is my second favorite game from Japan. It was number 2 on my top 100 list of games from Japan. So definitely check it out.
Awesome.
Because it's going to be super cool.
Awesome. I love the theme too, that like hot spring of the original one, and this one sounds super cool. I love bag building and deck building. Yeah,
it's just like different things, right? Like we could do another farm simulator, but
no, I don't like farming games.
Don't Uwe will hear you. Uwe will hear you. But you can have you could build a hot spring hotel. Like that's just a completely different theme. There's something
that's cool
about the theme that just makes it so chill to play, which is
awesome.
A lot of fun.
So that is Nukumi, Onsen,
Kaitakuki.
Okay.
From Kudo-san no Gemu, designer Kudo-san. And like all Japanese publishers, just follow them on Twitter or X, whichever you prefer to call it. Player count is 1 to 4.
Cool. I'm going to look out for that one. Thanks for the heads up. So the next game on my list, I mentioned that I brought some wallet games with me on my trip because
very smart.
Yeah, thank you. They just fit like right in your backpack. And one of the games that I brought that I actually got an opportunity to play a few times is Aqua ROVE, Results Oriented Versatile Explorer.
That's a long name. I love
it. Yeah, that's what the ROVE acronym is. And this is a 2024 release from Button Shy, designed by Dustin Dobson and Milan Zivkovic. And it's a solo game that's actually a reimplementation of the original game, ROVE, Results Oriented Versatile Explorer. And this is a solo spatial puzzle game where you're trying to complete 7 missions, I believe it was 7 missions, using these movement cards, and on the table during setup, you're going to place 6 modules. And these are modules that have like a little icon with it, and they each have their own special power that can be activated once per game. And they start in a 2x3 layout, but you're going to be playing movement cards to shift them around to meet the patterns that are on these different mission cards. And it's really clever. Like, I love Button Shy games because, these people who are designing these small wallet games with 18 cards, and they're just the clever ways in which they use cards blows my mind. But this one, you have the mission cards on one side, it has missions. On the other side, it is a movement card that's going to have a value, an amount of movement points. And then it's also going to have some kind of direction. So I think there are maybe 4 different types of directions, like move orthogonally up, down, left, right, and you can go as far as you want with just one module. There's another one just like that that's like you can only move 1 space, and there's some that let you move diagonally, yada yada yada. But each point of movement that you have, you can move these modules following just some basic rules that it always needs to be touching another module. It could be diagonally, orthogonally, doesn't matter. It needs to be touching another module. So you have restrictions on where you can move things, how you can move things. The other cool thing is on the movement cards, and I think the values, I want to say the movement values are 2 to 4 or so.
That's what I see on BGG, yeah.
Oh, cool. I know things. So the movement cards on the bottom of them, they give you a bonus opportunity. And it'll always have two icons. Like if, the purple module is touching the orange one, and they don't have to be side by side. They can be touching diagonally, vertically, horizontally, doesn't matter. If they're touching when you play that card, then you get a +1 movement point. So
nice.
you're trying to like manage your hand of cards, because after you complete a mission, if you have less than 5 cards, you only draw back 1. So it's like you don't want to be blasting through your cards.
Yeah.
The other cool thing is, like, you'll have the mission card, whichever mission you're currently aiming for, at the top of your play area. And then on the bottom right of your play area, you have the deck of cards, and it shows you what the next mission card is going to be. So you have some info as to what's coming, because the missions themselves will have 2 specific placements of specific modules, and then the other ones just need to be, in relation to them in some kind of pattern. So you have some flexibility with where you might want to move something, so that hopefully you're setting yourself up for success when you go to complete the second mission. And it's really cool too, because as you complete missions, you splay the cards down vertically, and the art kind of continues down in a really cool way. It looks like
I see it. You're like you're going down into the abyss. It looks really cool.
Yeah. So it's super cool, clever, puzzly. And at some point I played it sort of cooperatively, even though it's a solo game, because it's, again, something you could just break out if we're sitting down together. Like, hey, what do you think we should do? Should we move this here? Oh, and then I mentioned briefly that the modules each have abilities, but during the game, you can trigger one of the module abilities. Like sometimes it lets you like swap 2 modules, other crazy stuff, get extra movement points, but you'll flip it over to say that it's spent. And so it's a once per game ability. So you're trying to like figure out when to use those. You don't want to because you're trying to complete 7 objectives or missions. So it's like you can't just burn through all your cool abilities, Jay.
Getting work done on a budget. I feel it.
it. So I think my friend Tim told me about Rove, the original one, last year at some point, or earlier this year, and I bought it from Button Shy. But at this point, I've played Aqua ROVE more, and I'm slightly partial to it just because it's like turquoise and watercolor. The other one is cool too. The way the missions work, there's some changes to it. The movement cards before, I think, were generic movement points, versus now, like I said, you have directions on the movement cards and the movement point value. The abilities are different. And I think before, each pattern only required 1 specific fixed module. And now it's like you have 2 that have to be positioned somewhere. And then the other ones, it doesn't matter which one is where, as long as you meet the pattern. So
do you find that you resonate more with the diving theme than the space theme?
Yeah. And it could be a color thing. It could be because the other one is like it's kind of more brownish tan colors, whereas this one is like this nice turquoise popping color. I don't know.
Ladies and gentlemen, she is wearing blue. I just want to mention that. She has a blue shirt on, so she is all about the color blue.
But I play green, Jay. I play green. Don't forget that. Anyways, that is Aqua ROVE, and ROVE stands for Results-Oriented Versatile Explorer. Check it out. It's a great solo puzzle game, and it does not take up much space.
Brilliant.
Now, a word from our sponsor. You emerge into a clearing in the jungle and discover the crumbling ruins of a once magnificent Lego brick palace. Perched atop the ruins is a lone monkey, his eyes full of urgency. He gestures for you to come closer, silently pleading for you to help restore the palace to its former glory. The adventure to rebuild the Monkey Palace starts now. Will you answer the call? Welcome to Monkey Palace, the brand new LEGO Light Strategy board game. With the amazing LEGO system in play, you'll have a lot of building options You won't encounter two games that are alike. Gather your crew of 2 to 4 members aged 10 and up and help the monkey rebuild the once great palace while competing against your crew to collect the most banana points. Each Lego building brick brings you one step closer to rebuilding the palace. Before you know it, together you will have built a new and amazing palace using the Lego elements, but there will only be one winner, the player with the most banana points. So let's talk about SPIEL Essen 2024, some of our highlights, discoveries. I'm sure you got to play some games. I got to play some games, so we'll talk about those too.
I did. A few games.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to this is one of those conventions where it's hard to actually play games.
I know. Convention, you play a game, wild idea. Just wild.
Unless it's something like BGG Con that's like a play con,
Correct.
It is very challenging, especially because the hall stays open till 7 here. And it's by the time you get some food and it's like, you got to go back already.
Oh, but the food is so good.
Food is so good.
I love the games. I love the culture there, but the food is so good. That's part of the reason why I'm looking forward to SPIEL.
Yes. I feel like I spent some time in Italy before coming to Germany. And yes, the food in Europe is just so good. The bread, oh my gosh. I don't know if I can
mozzarella
eat bread.
is so good. I had so many caprese sandwiches going this is what mozzarella should taste like.
The
it's
tomatoes. Yes. So there's your food report from Essen. Very good food. Very, very awesome. Even in the hall with the different trucks, BGG had a booth this year for the first time since I've been around. So since pre-pandemic, and our booth was in Hall 5 and it was right near this area between cushioned in the corner of 5 and 4. Oh yeah,
the hidden food truck corner.
Hidden food truck corner. Yeah. And I got these empanadas multiple times that were so good.
Oh.
And there's never really a long line because it's a secret area.
Yes, I was really jealous of your hidden food truck booth. I discovered that one. I was I saw that on the map going, is that a hidden food truck area? And then lo and behold, I'm oh, these are where the short lines are.
Yeah, and there's a bathroom upstairs in that area too that is never crowded. So
those are you don't have to tell anyone. Don't tell anyone. Don't.
Okay. I'll edit this out. But this year was wild because every single day was sold out.
Yeah.
And I remember getting emails. At first it was oh, the 4-day passes are sold out. Thursday's all sold out. Friday's all sold out. Saturday's all sold out. And then Sunday ended up being sold out. And I think they said 204,000 attendees.
That's crazy.
From all around the globe.
Yeah, you definitely felt that Thursday.
Yes.
I didn't realize that Thursday was reunification day, where East and West Germany became one. So it's a national holiday. And it definitely felt like all of Germany was there.
Yeah, Thursday was the busiest. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And that's wild to think about a convention having a busier Thursday than Saturday.
Yeah, usually it's Saturday's a madhouse, Friday's the big gamers, and Sunday's family day. But
yeah.
Not a SPIEL this year. Oh.
No. Well, how many times have you been to Essen for SPIEL? And how did this year kind of compare to previous years?
This is my second time. I went my first time in 2018. I helped volunteer for the Taiwan Board Game Design booth.
Oh, cool.
And it's weird. The first time you go to SPIEL, you're just in awe of, one, how big the halls are.
Yeah.
2, every single person that you've heard of about in the influencer in the industry is there, and you'll see them walking by, and you're and you have all these moments oh wow, yeah, Tom Vasso's really tall. And
yeah.
and you're Stefan Feld is really tall.
Tall, yep.
And you're wow, and then you meet all these other influencers, and they're nice. Sometimes they're very busy, and I totally get that. But it's just weird to you're just walking down the hall to get from hall to hall, and you're oh yeah, there's Eric Summer eating a sausage. That's just, it's just
some currywurst.
Yeah, and it's very overwhelming, and it's really easy to overspend. I think the first time you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very easy to overspend indeed. But yeah, so this was my 4th year at Spiel. I went in 2019 when I was like pre-working for BGG. I was just
Candace Harris.
Candace Harris, like newly obsessed with board games and like wanting.
That's awesome! I didn't realize you're like just brand new into the hobby.
Yeah. Mid 2018, I came in, and so in 20,
never leave.
I will never leave. So in 2019, it's funny because I went and I remember thinking like, oh, this is big, but it was also like my first real board game convention. Like I'd never been to Gen Con before Origins or anything like that. And so when I went with BGG for the first time in 2022, that felt huge. It like Spiel felt huger to me than when I went for the first time, because at that point now I've been to Gen Con and I've seen like other big board game conventions, and I was like, this is freaking epic. This is like 3 Gen Cons in one or something.
Yeah, it's that's how I felt this time, because it was my second time, and it's my first time with the publisher. So I'm going with Busy at Games, and you see a different side of it as like you see all these different publishers, and then you see like all the distributors are there, all the manufacturers are there, and everyone's like doing business. People are in meetings all the time.
Yep.
Yeah. It's wild. It's absolutely
wild. We're speechless because it's so wild. I'll shout out a couple of random highlights I had. One of the things I really like is that there are always some like really cool booths. It's really cool to see how creative people get with their booths. And the one of them that stood out to me is Captain Games has a new release called Duck and Cover, which I talked about on the last episode, episode 52 of the podcast. BGG
Was this the bathtub one? Is this the bathtub?
Yes. They first of all, everyone working the booth had like bright yellow rubber ducky shirts on.
They were very loud.
Hats, bright yellow rubber ducky hats. And they had in the center of their booth a gentleman in a bathtub with like a shower hanging, a fake shower. But then you could climb up and demo the game and play with him. And you're kind of on this little stage and he's in the bathtub. Yeah.
That's such a wild and clever design. Yeah. Some booths were lots of fun this year.
Yeah. Did you see any like thing else that was kind of wild?
Yeah. I mean, I saw some stuff like there were some little things like there was hall sticks as I leave, like there's this picture of this giant roided out koala and like overalls, like huge biceps going battle royale as the ground is exploding beneath him. But the one that really shocked me was in Hall 5, which is the family hall, mind you.
That's where BGG was. We were in the family hall.
Oh yes, that's right. You were in the family hall. There was a booth, and I don't know the name of the publisher. I don't know the game, but there was a monk. And the monk did not have, there's not a real person, but like a cardboard cutout. And then it was also on the wall. The monk didn't have pants. And you saw everything. Like,
oh my goodness.
And like Friar Tuck was untucked. Like it was just. And like,
I missed this. I didn't see it.
I'm walking by. I'm like, whoa, what? And I'm just like, that's okay. Like I understand, it's just different culture, different thing. Like, well, I think America is like very strict on like what kind of sex appears in our cinema and entertainment, but like we're less strict with the violence, and stereotypically Europe is the opposite.
Yeah,
but I just wasn't expecting to see Friar Tuck in all his glory,
all of that,
and I was just like, okay. So like that one, when I think about booths, like that one definitely sticks out. But I really love the Itten and Sashi and Sashi booth.
Oh yeah,
they had like
so
these nice glowing. It looked like McDonald's drive-through signs, like this big lit up signs, but it was for their 2 Sashi games.
Yeah,
and these big rectangles that were just lit up. It looked really clean and really nice. And then they gave away these bags, which you saw everywhere. Like one side's Oink, one side's like Itten and Sashi and Sashi, and then I think their wall art that they like didn't show up for whatever reason. And this is a very common thing in Spiel and board game conventions. Like your games just don't show up, or your games are stuck in customs, which is really painful for a publisher. Their wall art just didn't appear for whatever reason, so they took the bags and then hung them up outside along their booth, and it looked really cool.
Yeah.
I loved it. And that booth was just neat because they also had like little cardboard cutouts stuck in all the displays. And so it looks like their games are coming to life and playing themselves. Very colorful, really fun.
I agree. Like they know how to display their products. I'll just say that.
That's funny because like Itten is, I believe their day jobs are like interior designers.
Oh wow, that makes sense. That makes sense then.
Yeah, it makes sense when you see their games and you're like, this looks like interactive art, and it's because like they're all interior designers and they know how to keep things like sleek and looking nice and zen and cool.
The other cool thing I saw, and I don't know if you noticed this, in like the middle of Hall 3, I don't remember what company it was, but they had some like little RPG cubbies that were like candle lit and really like vibey little sections where you could go and test. I'm pretty sure it was RPGs, and I was like, oh, we should do more of this with board games.
I saw one with like this weird like octopus, the like balloon thing, and inside was like a little table. That was kind of lit. And like Hall 3 had some wild stuff. Like someone had Excalibur, like in a stone. And you could
take the sword out.
And it was funny because like I think Tim Chuen like knew who's a great content creator.
Absolutely.
He was telling Beatz'n'Catz, who's also a great content creator. It's like, lift up the sword and I'll take a video. And she's like, okay. Yeah, he said, like, they said if you twist the sword a certain way, you'll be able to pull it out. And she's like, all right. And so, at a little does she know that Tim completely lied to her, that you can't pull out the sword at all. And she's trying to twist it and pull it out the whole time. Hilarious.
I just saw that video floating around Twitter. So it's funny you brought that example up.
Yeah, and then someone had an animatronic dinosaur in Hall 5, right?
Oh, yeah.
You saw that?
Yes.
So cool.
I took a video with that, and I also, we have a video that I'll probably post of me. Did you see the Arshmallow booth that had, like, you go in this?
Everyone saw the Arshmallow booth. And I don't know when it was for you, but in the men's bathroom above the urinals was just Arshmallow ads everywhere.
No, that wasn't how it was for me, but I did get it. I did get in that tank and try to catch cards as they were like blowing them up in the air.
I know. That looked like so much fun.
It was fun, but hard.
I was terrified. I was like, am I gonna just get paper cut like everywhere? I don't know.
One of the things that I love about going to Spiel, but just any game convention, but especially Spiel, because, I don't often get to connect with all sorts of international designers. Mm-hmm. And over at the CGE booth, I did a little interview with Tomáš Holek, who's the designer of SETI, which was their big heavy Euro release. But what I discovered is that Tomáš has had 3 games drop at Spiel, all 3 different publishers. So SETI, Galileo, Galilei, and Tea Garden. And I was like, wow, that is incredible.
That's a good year for Tomáš. Yeah, that's a good year. Yeah,
that's a good year.
And all 3 games are sought after that year.
Yeah.
Or this year.
Yeah. I'm actually really excited. I brought back SETI and Galileo Galilei, and I'm really excited to play them both.
What? No love for Tea Garden?
Well, I found out about it too late.
It is true. Like, it is. We were right next to the Tea Garden booth, the SETI Games booth. And so, we saw that, and they had, a big sign for Tea Garden. And we noticed, day 1, there were some people there. But by day 2, day 3, day 4, there's, these lines lining up for Tea Garden.
Did you see the giant version of Monkey Palace?
No, I didn't know there was a giant version. I saw Monkey Palace. I was like, "Oh, that's beautiful."
Yeah, so Monkey Palace is this board game that uses Legos, and they took 80 copies of this game and made this giant Lego display, which was really, really amazing.
I wish I were there for day 4 and I could just take it apart.
I was walking around doing some videos, capturing some videos of just random games, and I'm gonna start posting them today gradually. I think I ended up taking like 25 to 30 videos. So I'm going to gradually post them. Some of them are like designer interviews. Like I got to speak with Luke Laurie and check out Andromeda's Edge, which looks gorgeous. It looks absolutely gorgeous. I briefly met Matt Gerks, the designer of Concordia and a bunch of other games. So that was kind of wild. And then one of my really fun encounters was one morning at breakfast. I was just about to leave to head over to the hall, and a gentleman stopped me and said, "Hey, Candace, like, I'm Lucas. I'm one of the designers of Tamashii Chronicle of Ascend." And I was like, oh my gosh, like, because Aldi and I were both just geeking out about that game on the last episode, and he happened to be staying at our hotel, and we bumped into each other. So that was really cool.
Awesome.
And then I always love seeing Paul Amori because I love his games, and I happened to be at the Osprey booth when he had an appointment. And we actually bumped into each other multiple times. I finally met Ian O'Toole in person.
He's a nice gentleman. Very nice.
Super nice.
Big anime fan.
I know. Because when I had him on the podcast, it was just as I was getting into my Attack on Titan obsession. And I had played the Attack on Titan deck building game and was talking about it. And he's like, "Oh, I'm very familiar with that."
Yeah, he watches a lot of anime with his daughter, and like they had a huge bonding moment with Full Metal Alchemist. I'm not stalking him. He posts about this on Twitter.
Sure, Jay. Sure.
What did he post today?
I got to check out Speakeasy, the new Lacerda game that's on
looks really cool.
Kickstarter
really
right
cool.
now. Oh my gosh. It looks like I'm so excited about it. I have not gotten around to playing Weather Machine or Inventions, but like this is the one that like I'm like, okay.
Oh yeah, the theme looks really strong with this one. It looks really good. Yeah.
Fabulous. Unfortunately, I missed seeing Vital though. I saw him like, I walked by like twice when it was like super crowded and he's at the table demoing something. But I went Sunday and it was too late.
Yeah, the Busy Games project manager, lovely woman, and she was telling us like when she got to the booth one morning, she's like, "Oh, I just saw Vital Lacerda in the elevator. It was so lovely. I got to see him and be like, I just love your games." And he's like, "Oh, thank you."
That's
cool.
But
that's Spiel. Like,
yeah,
run into people like that.
Yeah, like that's definitely like a huge highlight for me. It's just like there's so many awesome people. There are awesome games that you didn't even know about going into it. Lots of designers, content creators. And it's especially awesome just connecting with other gamers who are there as attendees. So I'm just going to say, I had so many people come up and just say really nice things about the podcast and or my videos.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it warmed my heart so much. And so I just want to say thank you to everybody who took the time to like tap me on the shoulder or shout my name or whatever. And
you deserve it, Candace. You deserve it.
Thanks, Jay. But the other cool thing was I had two people who were repeats from last year. And it's funny because I remembered them. There was one lady who's like, "Oh yeah, I think she said I commented on her shoes last year," and I was like, "Oh yeah." And then like another person, I forget where. Look, I'm forgetting where everyone's from, but I remember your faces, and I'm like really appreciative that you're still out there supporting me and the BGG podcast and everything. And it's just nice to connect with people because stuff like this is like very outward bound, like
especially for podcasts. You don't get as much feedback as you do on YouTube or any of the other platforms. And it's I totally get what you feel because sometimes it just feels like I'm throwing content out into the ether and I don't know if people are listening. And I too want to take this time to say thank you to everyone who reached out to me. And it was very alarming. Like everywhere I went, someone would be like, "Jay, thank you so much. Like you helped me find all these Asian games this year." Like I usually got like you cost me money, but like I think the one that stood out to me the most because I begin all my videos with welcome to another video from Corporate East. My name's Shay. I play board games from Asia. share what I find with all of you. And this one guy, I forgot his name, but like, and I'm going to use the most stereotypical like German name I can think of. He's like, excuse me, I just want to say my name is Siegfried. I play board games from Asia because of you. And I was like, oh,
got him.
Super cool, super sweet.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, thank you so much. And it was nice to see that, and especially like in Europe, and getting to see like all the Asian publishers again, because we would go to each other's conventions all the time in like Southeast Asia, because it's it's like flying state to state.
Yeah.
And so seeing all of them again was
in Europe,
And Europe was like a nice high school reunion. I got to see like the Thai publishers who are just super fun, and the Taiwanese publishers, and I got to speak Chinese with the manufacturers, and it was kind of fun. And like I seen people from Singapore.
That's cool.
Yeah. So cool. Like 2023, my wife and I, like for our anniversary, we went to Bali.
Oh,
and
awesome.
And we went to this board game cafe in Bali called Downtime Cafe.
Okay.
And it's the coolest board game cafe in Bali. And the owner of the cafe was there.
Oh, wow.
SPIEL.
That's cool.
And he stopped by the booth. He said hi. I was like, oh, that's so cool that you're here. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's like everyone from everywhere is at SPIEL.
Love those encounters. I just want to give 2 more random highlights. One was Ben Maddox from the 5 Games to Doomsday podcast invited me like a couple weeks before SPIEL, invited me to join him, Uli from Spielworks, and Cole Worley to record an episode of the Spielworks Bulletin. And
wow,
that was super cool. Like just sitting in the back of Uli's little office behind the Spielworks booth and being in the room with these like awesome people. And Ben just like crushes it. I recorded an episode with him on his podcast. I want to have him on at some point. Just really, and I always love seeing like Cole there. I got to check out the new, like almost final version of Molly House, which looks amazing.
It does. It looks really
oh
cool.
my gosh. But anyway, I could go on and on. I also got to catch up with Vez Arpanen, who is the designer of the first 3-player coin game, All Bridges Burning. He had his new prototype for Order and Opportunity out, and we tried to sync up last year and it didn't work out, so I'm glad that got to happen. Anyway, like there's like a long list, but I'm sure people want to hear about board games.
What are board games? You say it like I played board games at SPIEL. I did. Yeah. I did play a few.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Like, I know it's hard to play games. I was able to play a couple card games and not too much, but I wanted to let's talk about some of the things we got to play and or
Let's
demo.
do it. Let's get down to it.
You first.
Oh, is there no musical transition? I was going to dance.
Oh, there's going to be a musical transition. Actually, no, there won't be right here.
Aww.
I was hoping you were going to sing something.
No, I want people to finish and stay for the rest of the episode.
Fair.
Most of the games that I played were at the Busy 8 booth. We had Xylotar, we had Seers Catalog, and Sandbag. Those were our newer titles.
Yeah.
We sold out of Seers Catalog really quickly.
Awesome.
Which is very exciting. And oh yeah, Taylor's. I missed Taylor there. He didn't shave his head, which he did at Gen Con. But
I missed Taylor too. I didn't see him at all.
No, he wasn't there.
Oh, he wasn't there. Okay, no wonder I didn't see him.
I did see someone at like a restaurant that looked like Taylor if he was like a bodybuilder. But I just didn't want to interrupt the guy. I was like, dude, you look like this one influencer. Can I take your photo? I didn't want to be that guy. But I was like, part of me was like, is that Taylor? Did he get ripped in a few months? But those are most of the games. I did make it to the Korea Board Games booth, and I was on a live stream with them, and I played some of their new games, like Amazonia Park. The one that stood out to me the most was like this Last Penguin, which is what I call a baby shark game. And follow me down this rabbit hole, Candace.
All right, I'm with you.
So you could be a musician and you could spend your whole life studying music, scales, different styles, from like jazz, classical, rock, hip hop.
Right.
You can do all these things. You could be an awesome content creator. You can be an awesome podcast and like learn everything there is about audio platforms and editing, and thinking about what a thumbnail, thinking about like your title, how that all interacts. And then there's Baby Shark with like billions of views. And you're just like, what am I doing? Am I overthinking this? Because Baby Shark, it's in your bones.
Don't do it. I apologize, everyone listening to this podcast, that Jay just tried to Baby Shark us.
But like, there are games that like I call them Baby Shark games because I love assertive games. I love heavy games. Combine EV is a great game. But then like there are these light games that are just so fun.
Yes.
And like you can stick your nose up at them, but at the end of the day, like we're playing games for fun. And like there's this one game that does so much with so little, and it's just ridiculous. And you feel like it's so stupid that this is fun. Like it's this much fun. Like why is it this much fun? And that's what I call Baby Shark games. And so like Last Penguin is one of those. And they're trying to explain the rules to me. Last Penguin is from Korea Board Games. It's by Murayama Kenta. It comes out this year. It's 3 to 5 players. It's originally a Japanese game that came out in 2023 by Netaverse. But Korea Board Games picked it up for a wider distribution. But in this game, it is a set collection game. So you have like a deck of cards. Some of them are like plus 7 points, plus 5 points. Some are like plus 6 points. But if you get 2 of those, it's negative 3 points. Or some of them just negative points. But you know what it is. It's all shuffled. And it's in one tiny little deck. Just a little tiny deck of cards going back to your button shy games, right?
It.
So it's like a tiny deck of cards. And I'm asking how to play. It's like, no. Just like, you just, and Minji, who works for Korea Board Games, super nice, very funny lady. She goes like, yeah, I take the card, I peek at it, and then I put it down next to the deck, and and everyone puts their finger on it. And then the last person to take the finger takes the card. I'm like, okay. And then everyone puts their finger on, and I'm waiting for other people to remove their fingers. And she's like, no, Jay, it's your turn. I'm like, wait, what? And like, you leave your finger there, and you continue playing the game.
Oh.
And so it becomes like Twister with your fingers, and everyone's mashed together, and you're slowly sometimes you're lifting up the top deck card on top of the deck with like your pinky and your ring finger, or sometimes it's like your 2 pinkies together. It's just hilarious. And like
that sounds fun.
And it's a lot of fun. And it shouldn't have been that much fun, but it is. And Last Penguin is like my Baby Shark game of the con.
Okay, nice.
And that's not Baby Shark.
Not Baby Shark.
That's Last Penguin by Korea Board Games and designed by Murayama Kenta.
Awesome. I did not get to check that out, but when I was at Korea Board Games, I played a game of Stella Quest.
Oh, yes.
Stella Quest is a new trick-taking game designed by Biomi Kim. It just dropped at Spiel, and it sold out very quickly. And, of course, it was sold out after I got the opportunity to play it, even though I wanted to grab it the whole time. Mm-hmm. But I asked them, I was like, is there any way, like, do you have any copies for, like, content creators? And they said, well, if you're here tomorrow, like, maybe you can come back and get one of the demo games, demo copies. Yeah. But thankfully, someone at Korea Board Games dropped off a copy at the BGG booth for me. Aww. And I walked in the back room one day and I was just like, this is so sweet. This it made my day. I was really excited. And wait, before I tell you about Stella Quest, I do want to say I missed I kind of glossed over one of my big highlights, and that was BGG having a booth. So this is my first year coming to Spiel with BGG and us having a booth. And it just was so cool because I saw so many people speaking all sorts of foreign languages, walking around in our t-shirts because they had the opportunity to get t-shirts and geek up bits. And my partner, Matt, was working the register a lot at our booth. Mm-hmm. And he enjoyed that, which I thought was super adorable too. But he was like, yeah, people are like dropping money like it's Christmas. And it's like, yeah, the shipping to Europe is like really, really expensive. So really expensive, people have been asking us for years to like have a booth so they can like get t-shirts and stuff like that and hats. So it was really cool. having a booth this year and like kind of a home base to drop games off and stuff in between meetings and wandering around and whatnot. So, and I'll just drop another funny story. I bumped when I was walking through, I believe it was Hall 2. I saw Trick or Treat Studios booth, and my friend Will works there. And so I was like, oh, hey, Will. Didn't know if he was going to be there or whatever. Caught up with him. He showed me this new Kramer and Kiesling game they're doing called Immortal, which looks really cool. But he was like, yeah, I went to your booth. And he's like, yeah, Matt helped me out. And I was like, that's so funny. Like, he's talking about Matt like Matt's like a full-time employee for BGG. But it was just cool for like people to connect with him. And also someone out there, a BGG podcast listener, came up to me and was just like, tell Matt he did a great job mixing the drums on the music. And he was telling me how much he liked the theme music and stuff like that. So that was really cool. But, Jay, Stella Quest.
Yes.
We're back. I'm taking you back to the Korea board games booth. I played a game called Stella Quest with Justin Bell from Meeple Mountain. I'm actually going to be dropping a video of this. Yeah, Justin's awesome. We got the opportunity to play 2 games that I'm going to talk about. But this one is a really unique trick-taking game. And the theme of this game is that stars are just not these pretty things off far away that we look up at the sky and see. They're actually spirits that are looking down on us, and they're like really curious about what we're doing. And so the stars that are coming to visit us are shooting stars. So this is a trick-taking game where each player is going to have 5 life tokens. They're called Starlight tokens in front of you. They're nice poker chips. There's a light side and a dark side. Yep. So you have 5 face up. One of the ways the game could end is if you ever lose all of your lives. Witness, that was me. I was eliminated from the game. But I kept telling Justin, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna edit this video to make it look like I won. I don't actually think that's possible. Like, there aren't enough fancy editing tools to make that happen. But anyway, your goal is to have emotion cards in your tableau numbered 1 through 6. You need a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, and a 6. And the main deck of cards is 48 emotion cards. There are 2 copies of 1 through 6 per color, and they're red, blue, yellow, and green. And then there are also these 6 break cards, which are like black or gray. And this game is one of those games where the card backs show you the color of the card or the suit of the card in your hand. So you always can see which suits your opponents have in their hand and vice versa. And it is a must-follow trick-taking game, but you can always play one of these break cards. Like, that's pretty much a avoid the trick. You won't win if you play a break card. So you can always play that even if you can follow. And you'll put the deck, I forget how many cards you are dealt, maybe 5 at the beginning, but then you'll put the deck of cards in the center of the table, flip the first one into the discard pile. Whatever that card is, that is the trump suit for the first hand, or first round, shall I say. And let's say it's a blue 3. There are 2 of every number per color. So if someone else plays a blue 3, that is what's known as a super trump. Otherwise, the highest blue card would win if there's no super trump. Otherwise, the highest lead card wins. Like, very basic trick-taking stuff. But whoever wins the round is going to take one of the emotion cards that were played this round and put it face up in front of them. Because remember, your goal is to have each number 1 through 6, each type of emotion. And all the remaining cards you're going to discard or place into the discard pile, because you can put them in whatever order you want, which dictates what the next round's trump suit is. If someone played a break card, which is the one that you'll never win the trick, that always has to be on the top, meaning there would be no trump suit for that next round. But otherwise, the person who won the trick gets to decide what's trump. But here's another little thing that happens with the person who won the trick. They draw the attention of the Black Star. Dun, dun, dun. There we go. There's the music I was looking for. So So at the beginning of the game, no one has the attention of the black star. But once you win a trick, this pawn will go to you. This cute little figurine thing will go in front of you. If you win the next trick, wow, I can't talk. If you win the next trick, not trip. If you win the next trick and you have the attention of the black star, so you have that pawn in front of you, you're going to lose a life. So it's like you don't want to win back-to-back tricks in this game. The other thing with these Starlight tokens is if you ever collect a card of the same number that you already have in your tableau, let's say I was doing well in this game, the opposite of what it really was. There was if I had a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 6, and I'm just trying to get that 5 to win, and we play a trick, and there are no 5s for me to take. Let's say I won, and there's no 5s. I have to take another number that I already have. That's another way that you're going to lose lives potentially. And the amount of lives you lose is based on which card you're doubling up on, because each card has a certain amount of jewels on it. Cards 1 and 2 have 3 jewels, 3 and 4 have 2 jewels, 5 and 6 have 1 jewel. And so, like, let's say, for example, I take a second 3, and I have to take a second 3. I am going to, because it has 2 jewels, I'm going to have to lose 2 lives. So I'm flipping over 2 of my Starlight tokens, which is not great. Not great at all.
Is that how you died?
Jay, I don't even know what happened. There were all sorts of mistakes when I played this game. Oh my gosh. Another neat thing besides just like the interaction of these Starlight tokens is that when you run out of cards, you're going to draw cards back equal to the number of your still face up Starlight tokens, the ones that are still lit. So people are drawing cards at different points in the game, which is like, has this really like dynamic element to it, because like I could be looking and say, okay, you have 2 greens and 1 yellow, and this other player has just 1 blue card, and they play that blue card, but then they're going to get to draw back 3 cards. And it like, I don't know. It was just kind of neat that the timing and the amount of cards you draw is not always the same, is rarely the same as other players. The other thing is, which I didn't learn in the demo, but I learned by looking at the rules, is that you can flip one of your Starlight tokens over to draw 3 cards. And I did not know that, but obviously
that would have changed things.
I would have won if I knew that rule.
Obviously, Justin didn't tell you that rule. It's all Justin's fault.
It's all Justin's fault. But anyway, the game's going to end in one of 2 ways. If one player ends up getting all 6 emotions and they're still alive, they win immediately. Otherwise, if someone like me loses all my Starlight tokens, I get eliminated, and then the other players score up. And your score is basically, you'll flip over any cards that you had multiple copies of. They're not going to score anything. And then you're going to add each of your face-up Starlight tokens and any of the jewels on the emotion cards you still have face-up in your tableau. And whoever has the most points wins the game. So it's like, it's really different. Like just that element of this black star shifting around, not wanting to take back-to-back tricks, being punished if you have to take the same number twice, and just having such low value cards. You have a lot of data that's floating around, and being able to see the backs of cards. Did you get a chance to play Stella Quest?
I played Stella Quest. At Spiel, but more importantly, I played it in 2022. And it was at Tokyo Game Market.
Oh, cool.
It had a different theme. So we're going to play a game with Candace, everyone. And Candace is going to guess what's the theme. If there's a different theme.
Okay. Can I get any clues about what the theme was?
You can ask 3 yes or no questions. Okay.
Was the artwork lighter colored, like the box? Was there a box?
I didn't play a box. I just played the game itself.
Oh, you just played the game itself.
Boo, Jay, boo.
Was it related? Is it related to germs, where you're avoiding germs.
No.
Okay. Is it related to a historical topic?
No.
Was it pollution related?
No.
Okay, that's it. What is it?
It's like a demon doll. And you're collecting different emotions, right? And this one you're collecting like the arms, the two arms left and right, the legs left and right, the torso and the head. And if you could Frankenstein this doll together, then you win.
Weird.
Yeah,
creepy.
Very different. And so when I was playing Stella Quest, I'm like, I've played this game before. I swear I played this game before. And they're like, oh, yeah, it used to be this Japanese game about putting the doll together. I'm like, oh, yes. Yes. And it's amazing how, like, the one I played was very much a prototype. And it's so fascinating how, quality production and, like, arts and a re-theme can completely change how you feel about it.
Yeah.
Because it's night and day. And you're like, because the first one, I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. It's kind of weird. The theme's kind of weird. I feel kind of weird.
Collecting these body parts
of a doll. Why not just be a monster or a Frankenstein theme? But then, like, you switch it to like this big, like, space emotional, like 60s kind of vibe.
Yeah,
and it's like
weird.
And then, like, I fall in love with the game. Like, wow, this is really cool.
I kind of want to like see years from now that they republish it with the old theme and see what that looks like.
No, the art of Stella Quest is gorgeous.
The components, the cards, everything looks really, really spectacular.
Really good. Korea Board Games does really good productions.
For sure.
And is it my turn to share a game? Or
yeah,
I feel like I interrupt you. I'm sorry.
No. This is a conversation,
Oh, well then I'll just interrupt you more.
Please, Jay. As long as you sing a song occasionally.
I will sing. There you go. That's it.
Nothing related to sharks, though. All right, what else? What's next? Tell me about another game you got to play.
Well, I think my list of games I played kind of ends there. I feel shocked about that. But one game that I did play a lot of, that was right next to you and close to your heart, me and your booth, because it was right next to your booth, right next to the BGG booth, was a Japanese pavilion. Pavilion, if you don't know, is a term they use from different publishers share a booth together. So, like, for example, the Thai pavilion, where the Taiwanese government the Thailand government subsidized multiple publishers to be there in Hall 4. And like 2018, that happened with Indonesia. And sometimes it's not government-based, but like other publishers just work together and have their own pavilion. There's one right next to the BGG booth where they're playing lots of games that will be available on Kickstarter or coming to Kickstarter soon. The one that I played a lot of is Snow Planner, which came out like this year, and it is by designer Akashi and publisher 14 Games, and it's on Kickstarter now because the Kickstarter will have a expansion. That's the word. Expansion. It came out, I want to say it came out a while ago. The BGG says 2024. I think that's wrong. BGG is wrong, Candace. But
I'll let Aldi know.
But it came out, maybe it did come out earlier this year, but it's on BGG again with an expansion that adds more tracks and stuff. Snow Planner is a game where you are running your own ski lodge. And it's very, very themed. It's the whole color palette of the game is like blue and white.
I love snowy games.
And I have such a weakness for, my name's Jay Bernardo, and I have a weakness for snow maps. And so like...
me too, actually. I love snowy games.
Yeah, I just love it. And I hate snow, but I love snowy games. It's weird. It's like my friend from college who hates tuna, hates mayonnaise, but loves tuna sandwiches. It's just...
Ew. Oh my gosh. I hate tuna and I hate mayonnaise. But then I was
Maybe you will love tuna sandwiches, Candace.
No.
It's in your destiny.
Absolutely not.
And you'll listen to Baby Shark and eat it at the same time. And you'll realize, this is who I am.
Oh my gosh. Gross. No, thank you. No, thank you. I'm not going to yuck on anybody's yum, but No thanks. That's a no thanks for me.
But Zone Planner is a worker. It's a dice placement game, but you never roll dice. So the dice are your workers, and you'll start with 2 dice. Eventually, you evolve into 3, getting more workers. And your first die will be at 1, and your second die will be at 3. And the pips are the strength of your worker. So eventually, your 1 will evolve into 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And when you get to 6, you're getting tons of resources. So maybe you go to one place and you get like a little bit of snow. Yeah. Then you have a 6 and you might get 5 snow, which is a ridiculous amount.
Wow.
Who uses 5 units of snow? But it's one of these games that has that when you get more, like the rich get richer. So in Storm Planner, it's 8 rounds. And the first 2 rounds, you're feeling like, how am I ever going to accomplish anything? But throughout the course of the game, you're going to get your workers are going to build up to get stronger and stronger. And you're going to be taking these big, broad actions with tons of resources.
Cool.
And what's really cool is that, like, Grand House Austria Hotel, I love it. But the hotel aspect is a little bit more abstract than Snow Planner. And this one, you have these 3 rooms in your ski lodge, which is an odd number, like very small amount. But anyway, I wouldn't want to manage a game with like 100 rooms. Yeah, like a bed and breakfast. That's what it is. And so you have like these 3 little rooms, and you have guest cards that go into each room. And on the side, there are these little marks that says day 1, day 2, day 3. And you throughout the round, every round, like the card's going to move up. So, on day 1, your guest is here. He's going to give you some goodie stuff. And it's like, oh, great. And if you have like a XYZ, then they'll stay to day 2, and then they'll give you even more stuff. And then if you have the XYZ, they'll stay, and they'll go to day 3, and they'll give you like even more stuff. Ooh. And eventually they're going to check out and leave. So you're getting guests who's going to give you income, and you're making sure that you have amenities in your hotel that they'll cause them to stay longer and give you more goodies and more income.
Nice mini bar.
Yeah, good mini bar, good ski slope, ski slope.
Ski slope.
English, I know words.
We're jet lag, everyone. We're jet lag.
And so it's really, really interesting to play this game. And there's a deck of cards that have event cards, and some of them are one-offs, and some of them are like continuous powers, and they're oddly thematic. Like there's a language robot card that helps and there's a part-time worker, which like starts off like at 3. So if you can put your 1 die there, and they get the part-time worker that moves the value of 3.
Cool.
So if you're going first, like you can put your 1 pip there, and then you get the part-time worker who's a value of 6, and you're like, oh yeah, why? You get and there's a robot card that's like a multi-language robot. It's a very cute robot, and that makes your part-time worker work more efficient, as if like he's some American college student intern at this Japanese ski lodge. And the robot can speak English. He's like, oh, okay, I understand what this guest wants.
Gotcha.
little things like that that I found really fun. And the coolest part about the game, though, is that there are these character cards that are wildly overpowered. And there's quite a few. And like there's like the influencer who's really good at social media, which was one of the tracks that you go up. And they just, they're the ones who get to the end of social media track. They get a lot of likes, which is crazy. And like there's an old woman, and I think like she's like sociability, it's like, or hospitality is her name of her power. Okay. So she's able to get lots of guests because I guess she's good at chatting and talking. She's
telling some good stories. Yeah. Dropping wisdom.
And every time I give people a character card, they'll look at me. They say, what does this mean? Oh, this means every time this happens, this happens. And they look up with this look of like that can't be right. That's broken. And I'm like, I always say, it's as broken as you think it is. And they're like, nice. Oh, this is going to be fun.
Yeah. Nice.
And it's just fun to have like these characters that really break the game, but not really, and allow you to explore the game in a little bit differently. And it's interesting to play a game that's 8 rounds as well, that gives you lots of time to pivot and change your strategy, and to see you gain a lot of momentum going from like, picking up pebbles to like just building mountains. I mean, metaphorically speaking. But it's one of these games that's got me playing it more and more and more. And I keep on wanting to explore, try new characters, and just see different aspects of the game. One of the coolest things, though, is that you can put your worker to fulfill a contract. And that contract will flip over and go into your tableau. And then you have your own personal worker space that no one else can go to.
I always love that.
Yeah, those are so cool. And it's all about victory points. So you go there and you get tons of victory points.
Ooh, I love victory points.
And it's a really, I guess BGG gives it a weight of 3. I think that's about right.
Okay.
But the new expansion adds more tracks, adds more guests, add more event cards. I'm really excited by it. This is a game that I've been playing a lot of in the summer, and they were allowing people to demo the game there.
Cool.
And I love Grand Austria Hotel. I mentioned this because there was a forum on BGG. You know that website? I think you've heard of it.
No. Can you drop the URL in the chat here?
Sure. But people were asking, how does it compare to Grand Austria Hotel? And I'm like, well, I think it's Snow Planner is oddly, I think, a little bit more thematic. Grand Austria Hotel is a little bit more tactical because it's, the dice are thrown at the beginning of every round. You make the best of what you can. There's less randomness in Snow Planner because, like, if you fail, it's your fault for not planning ahead of time. And I think that Grand Austria Hotel, as much as I love it, I prefer to play it at 2 players. I don't play it as often with 3 or 4.
That's what I hear. I've only ever played it with 2, but because I'm scared to play it with more.
But like Snow Planner, I actually really enjoy at the 3 and 4 player count, and it's quite fun. So
and there's snow.
Yeah, and it's so chill. When you look at it, you're just like,
cozy. Yeah.
It's one of these games that gives cozy vibes.
Oh.
And you're like, maybe that's why you liked Rove the Aquatic, because it's nice, chill blue.
Yeah. It's a cozier version.
Yeah. I feel that vibes is more of a trend in the 2020s. Like, does it vibe with you? How does it feel? What emotions does it subtly invoke? And Snow Planner is all about chill.
Yeah. I'm on vacation at the ski resort. The ski bread and breakfast. Oh my gosh.
And that is Snow Planner from by 14 Games, designer Akashi, and it's on Kickstarter now.
Cool. That's another one I've never heard of. And I also wasn't familiar with that term of pavilions. But it is something that I definitely noticed when I go to Spiel, that a couple different publishers will be nested together.
Oh yeah, it's the booths are expensive.
Yeah.
From a little peek behind the curtain. Hello everyone. Like booths are expensive, so publishers will sometimes share a booth, and sometimes a publisher from North America will share a booth with a publisher from the EU.
Yeah.
So that way they could take credit cards, because you have to have like a German bank account, and most German banks, from my understanding, you have to own property in Germany.
There's all sorts of
lots of weird laws.
Yeah.
So if you're buddying up with like a European publisher, well then you can collect credit cards and you can negotiate some deal that they could pay you back or whatever.
And that's Jay's tips on getting a booth in Europe.
Bring your drinky buddies and have a good time.
Okay. Well, I got to play another card game that I saw on the preview list, but then one of my friends in LA texted me and was like, hey, there's this game, Dirt and Glory. Sounds pretty cool. And I was like, okay, I'll go check it out. This is a game that dropped at Spiel from a brand new publisher called Pink Troubadour. They're from the Czech Republic. And their whole booth was like pink, decked out in pink. It was really cool. And this is designed by Peter Wojtek. Now, I probably did not pronounce that name correctly. Apologies. But I ended up demoing this game with my friend Lauren, who is also at Spiel because she works for Cardboard Alchemy. And we played like half a game. Again, I was losing as usual. I don't do well at demo games, I guess. But I was winning because I liked the game. And I'm like, I'm having a good time playing this game. And so one of the guys who was working at the booth was kind enough to send me out of there with a copy of the game, which I then played later that evening with a couple of the guys from the Dice Tower and Stephen Cordell from BGG. And this
I love
game,
Steven. Steven's great.
Yeah, Steven's wonderful. Steven actually helped me out tremendously. Matt and Steven were my cameramen during the weekend. There's sometimes where I'm out there with a camera by myself, but it's so much more helpful and looks better when someone with the eyes of Steven or Matt are there filming as I'm talking to people. So
I met Steven for the first time at Gen Con, and we won the gang together.
Oh, nice. Very cool. Very cool. Well, so this game, Dirt and Glory, plays with 2 to 4 players, and it is a combination of deck building with push your luck and a little bit of blackjack with a Mad Max post-apocalyptic theme. So everybody's going to start the game with the same 7-card deck, except it'll be whatever color you prefer. Jay, I play green, so you're not getting
purple.
green.
I do purple or blue.
Okay. Just want to make that clear. So your deck of cards, you're going to have two 1s, 2 2s, a 3, a 4, and a 5. That's your 7 cards. You shuffle them up, and you're going to play 6 rounds. And at the start of each round, first thing you're going to do is reveal a location. Because Mad Max style, we are using these cards to form caravans to drive to these locations, So the theme is built into the art and everything, but it feels like blackjack. Deck building blackjack. But it's good. It's good. So each round you reveal a location. The location card will have a number. Let's say it says 11. So we are shooting to get as close to 11 as possible without going over. And you want to be closer than everybody else because you'll get more victory points. So after you reveal the location, everybody's going to draw 2 cards from the top of their deck. And when it's your I forget if we do this simultaneously or in turn order, but basically your first play is going to be to pick one of those 2 cards, discard one of them into what they call your reserve, which is your discard pile. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to play the other one out in front, like a little tableau. So all of us have the same decks at the start with the same value cards, but who knows what we actually drew.
Yep.
So then after we've all played that initial card, then in turn order, we're going to decide if we want to push and draw another card or pass. And if we push, you reveal the top card on your deck and you add it to the other card that you've played or other cards. And if that makes you bust, oh, boo-hoo. Usually, the location cards will let you get a little consolation if you bust, which is these little fuel tokens. Fuel tokens work like the potion bottle in Quacks of Quedlinburg, where if I draw a card that I don't like and it does not cause me to bust, I can spend a fuel to ditch that card into my reserve. Nice. And so fuel tokens are helpful. They are very handy. But we're going to keep going around and deciding when you deciding if you want to play another card or pass. When you pass, you're going to take one of the available cards from this market row of cards that you're going to be adding to your deck. And this is the deck building part. Yeah, so sometimes you might want to pass early just to get a really cool card. Not usually, though.
That doesn't sound like something I would do.
No. I don't think any of us did that. We were trying to get to that target location number, At the end of the round, or if you bust, you're forced to pass, and you're going to take a new card and put it at the bottom of your deck. But once everybody has passed, we'll each have a new card added to our deck, and then we're going to see who is closest to the target location. And if 2 people or multiple players are tied, it's whoever has less cards that they use to get to the target would break the tie. If there's still a tie, then you randomly flip the top card off your deck, and whoever is lowest wins. Whoa. At that point. If it goes down to that level. I think we saw a couple ties, but it wasn't all of the time. Usually somebody would have less cards. But the cards that you get to add to your deck as you play are cool because some of them have, a lot of them have special powers. Some of them are dual use in terms of having two numbers. So it'll have like a 2 on one end and a 4 on one end. So when you draw, you could turn it whichever way it's going to be most helpful to you. Some of them have like discard abilities like, when you draw this, discard one of the cards that you've already played into your reserve. Or there are different cards that let you grab a card from your reserve and maybe do a swap and ways to get fuel, or look at the top card on your deck and put it back or put it on the bottom, like that kind of stuff. But it's really cool. So so there's deck building, and then each round you play with a different target card and you're going to draft a different card for your deck. Also, at the end of each round, after we award victory points, so Jay, you were the closest, you get the most points.
Yeah,
and this is
I'm used to that. Happens all the time.
So this is all indicated on that location card. Like maybe this round you get 4 points for being best, 2 points for being second best, 1 for being third best, and nothing if you're fourth. But then you're going to take the cards that you played. So let's say you played 3 cards before you passed. You're going to shuffle those back into your deck along with that new card that you added. And you have the option of shuffling your reserve in as well.
Nice.
But then you have less data about what's in your deck, because and also you won't be able to trigger abilities that leverage the reserve as well. So it's like, when's the best time for me to shuffle cards from my reserve back into my deck? Cool decisions. And then again, you just play another round, and the location cards escalate. So there are 3 tiers of cards, 1, 2, and 3 levels. And you'll always be playing with 2 out of 3 for each level randomly. Basically there are 9 total, and you take out 1 of each level and then you put them in order. So you always flip a level 1 first, then a second level 1, level 2, second level 2, level 3. 6 rounds. Whoever has the most points wins.
Nice. The artwork looks really rad. Looks really, really cool. I'm loving the artwork.
It is. I like the artwork. I like the colors. I like the game. It's another like nice small box filler game that's just a little bit different. Like I always like deck building, and I like push your luck, and this like blackjack kind of like trying to hit this target mark, when to push, when not to push, is just like, it's fun. It's exciting. And so we've enjoyed it. I've played it twice so far now.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I definitely want to check that out. That looks really, really cool.
It's called Dirt and Glory, and it's from Pink Troubadour. And Pink Troubadour is the company that also released Galileo Galilei.
Nice.
Which this is their first, these are their first 2 games.
Wow, those are nice games to come out with. Yeah.
Yeah. Good start.
Good. A really good start. So I've also been playing Formosa Tea. Now, Formosa Tea is an older game. It came out in 2018 originally. It is from Soso Games, which is a Taiwan publisher. Formosa is the Portuguese word for Taiwan.
Oh, I did not know that.
That means beautiful island.
Okay.
These are things you pick up when you live there for 18 years.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love getting this education from you.
And the artist is Sammy XYZ. Because, people treat English names as like fun, cool AOL names.
Yeah. Like a username.
I am Neo. I am, I am Trinity. And it's designed by Gao Shulan, but I know him as Mike.
Okay. Okay.
And it's been one of my favorite games for the longest time. It's the game that got my wife into the hobby. Where she played it, she's like, "Oh, games can be fun." I'm like, "Yes, they can."
That's cool.
And for Formosa Tea, you are processing tea. You're getting tea leaves and processing tea. What I love so much about it is I love the core mechanic. So the board is in 2 halves. The left side is a grid of like 3x4 circles. And then you go there, and then you'll pick up tea leaves. And the tea leaves are just like these cubes. For those people who like games from the aughts when everything was cubes. And so you either have brown for the black tea, you have green for the green tea, and you have this orangey yellow for oolong tea. And when you go there, you can pick up all of one color or one of each color that's there.
Okay.
And you'll put it there and you'll put it into your basket. And there's different types of tea inside of that because there's a weather that runs across that little grid of 3x4. So like some tea leaves in one column will be like moisture of 2, moisture of 1, or 0. And you definitely want 0 because you want to get rid of all that moisture from your tea. So you have different baskets,
Gotcha.
one for 0 moisture, 1 moisture, 2 moisture. But eventually you'll have your workers there on that little tea plantation area. But eventually they're going to go to the processing plant, which is on the right side of the board. And you'll take your another worker who has a bowler hat instead of the cliche like Chinese farmer hat.
Yeah.
And you put the bowler hat worker into the processing plant. And they'll slowly move to the right of the processing plant. And through that processing plant, they're going to you'll take all your cubes from your baskets and put them in the center of your little player board. And that's where you'll be removing moisture from the cubes. Because you want to get as much moisture out and then make them scented to add some more flavor to the tea.
That's awesome.
So it's like this weird little mini game. But what's so cool is that when your bowler cap worker is in the tea processing track, they don't move on their own. Like they don't move from left to right on their own. Each processing tea track is parallel to a row in the tea fields. So when someone goes to get tea, they push you forward on the tea processing track. So you're constantly balancing up, well, do I get tea? I need tea to go to the process to process it. But if I get tea on this column, I'm pushing my opponent forward.
Right.
And then it's like, well, I want to go to the processing plant so that way my opponent can push me forward. So there's this give and take and balance that you have to go there with. And sometimes you want to be greedy to get at least 3 or 5 cubes before going to the processing plant. Because if you have 3 or 5, well, then you'll also advance on the tech track that's there for that particular tea. So you can get really good at making green tea. You can get really good at making black tea. You get really good at making oolong tea.
Cool.
And then on top of that, like on those tech tracks are these technologies that you could put on your player board, which will help you remove moisture from your cubes. Because the weather's constantly changing, and you could have, and each game will be different. Like sometimes it's very dry in the early game and very wet in the late game. Sometimes it's very wet in the early game and dry in the late game, or it's a mixture of both. But once your tea is ready and your guys pushed all the way through the processing track, you take them up and you put them somewhere, and then you sell your tea. And you can sell your tea to the international market, where you can get these cards, which are like a contract fulfillment, or you could sell them to the domestic market, where you're moving up this other track, which gives you other bonuses and things like that. But that's just one little layer. The other layer that I love is that there are round cards to help you keep track of, the round.
Nice.
And all the round cards have a year on it and an historical event that actually happened in Taiwan's tea history.
Ah,
and so
that's so cool.
Yeah, there's a little bit of education there, and the events are revealed at the beginning of the game, and at the end of the round, like at the bottom of the card, like something will trigger on the event card. So it's not completely random. You see it there, and you have to prepare for it. Like, oh, this round, like you'll get bonus points for whoever has the most black tea cards, or this is the year that black tea was finally introduced to Taiwan, or this is the year where this certain building was built, or there's a World War II card where like certain bombs were dropped in Taiwan, so your factories will be destroyed, and you'll have to go down on certain tech tracks. Little things like that, which are really, really fascinating.
Yeah.
And that extra layer is that there are these player cards, which gives you a unique personal power, and you can play as an historic person from Taiwanese history, like an actual person who is really good at
tea industry.
Some godfather of tea,
Yeah, cool.
Like you have Wu Zhenduo, who like every time you pick tea, you get to pick more tea, which just seems very broken. There's like John Dodd, who allows you to like the contracts are kind of in a line, so you can only interact with the ones that are right in front of you.
Gotcha.
But John Dodd, because he's chatty and has connections, he can go
contract
to the end of the line.
pappy.
Yeah, he can just pop to any contract that's out there in the ocean. Like there's Li Chunsheng, who every time you fulfill a contract, you get extra VP for every previous contract that you fulfilled. So you're going for the cheap contracts and then we're getting tons of bonuses, and it's really crazy. There's like Robert Swinehoe, who begins the game with tons of tea. So you just have this huge boost in the beginning.
I love player powers.
Yeah, they're so much fun. And I love that the player powers and the round cards are embedded in actual history.
Yeah.
So there's this little learning element to the game. And the game is it's beautifully green. Like there's this nice green area for the tea leaves, 4x4 area. And then you have like this nice kind of brown and maroons for the tea processing plants. And you see all these cute little people on the board that are just working at tea. Yeah, it's just, there's a lot to love. And this was released 5 years ago, and then recently was re-released with the second edition where they updated the rules a little bit, redid the math, because I think every publisher knows that you can play test to your heart's content as much as you can, but you'll never out-test the market.
Yeah, once it's out in the wild, you just
especially for like CCGs where someone finds some super breaking combo and then ruins the game for everybody else, and then you lose this competition. I'm not bitter at all. Anyway, but yeah, the second edition also came with this new expansion for the TT track. It's called the tree track because it's like a tech tree where that's involved as well. So it adds a little bit more complexity to the game, and I think that's really fun. I got to play it last night with my wife, and we had a great time just exploring this one. And I did a Kickstarter preview for the Kickstarter that ran, I think, last year. And I was really shocked to find, like, in the back of the rule book, there was this little sentence as a special thanks to Jay and Chechena, who run the YouTube channel Cardboard East, where they share their passion for board games from Asia, especially Formosa Tea. And I was really shocked by that, and I was really flattered that
shout out.
Yeah, that they put that in there. Because I do love this game a lot. And yeah, I kind of choked up a little bit. It's like,
that's lovely. You know, I remember hearing about Formosa Tea, like the original version, and I never got around to playing it, but I never knew exactly how it worked. Like I always I like the tea theme, but that sounds really, really cool. And were they selling it, or is it still?
They were selling it. I think it's like a pick up at Essen kind of thing.
Okay. I missed it.
Yeah, there was problems with because during the Kickstarter, a previous Kickstarter hadn't fulfilled, and that's because like the earthquake happened in Taiwan, and so one of the main manufacturers in Taiwan just got completely destroyed. And some publishers had games in there going out that day and then gone. So they had to remake them and then send this out to people. So it wasn't a lot of people. It's just like 83 units.
Yeah.
That, if you're one of those 83, that kind of sucks, but you can't feel angry, but you kind of do. And so, but like the artwork is just gorgeous on here, and the new production.
Yeah. I'm looking at the cover right now. That's like super cozy. I love the color palette too.
Yeah, the color palette's very chill. It's like this nice light greens and gorgeous blues. I think it's just blue. It's just blue.
Dang,
canvas.
Jay, why are you making me get more games like this?
I feel bad because like people at Spiel were like, "So thank you, Jay. You made me spend all this money on these games in Asia," and I'm like, technically, you did. Yeah, like this year I did something different for the channel. Like I made a map of all the halls and did a line going to all the Asian publishers. So if you follow that series, you could just follow the maps that I gave, and then you could see, I think like 98% of all the Asian publishers that were there. And I saw some people following the map, and the map ended at the Bezier booth. So you could stop by and say hi and
that's cool.
Bezier games and say hi to me. And like some people did it, and it was really cool.
That's a great idea. I wish I knew that ahead of time.
I think I'm gonna do it every year. I think.
Yeah.
I think it's just gonna be more and more fun every year I do it. So
that's awesome. It's funny you said you made a map, because when I was at, I think it's Ocular Oddities booth, they have a kind of RPG board game style journal that they create to help people enjoy journaling, and kids like, oh, I completed my homework, I'm leveling up my character. It's super,
awesome.
Yeah, it's super cool. It's called Thaloria Quest, but we were over there and I actually met the core designer, Jason, last year, and when he had just a prototype of it, and now it's like finished. This was something that was crowdfunded on Kickstarter as well, and it's, finally finished, looks great. But when we were over there, there was an Irish gentleman named Ian who we were just talking, like he had so many great stories, and like, I don't know, it's just like one of those like afternoons where we're just laughing, telling each other stories.
I love those afternoons.
So Ian takes this map that someone else at the booth, I can't remember this gentleman's name, but he had made his own map and he had it laminated, and he like was dry erase circling and wiping stuff.
Wow.
And so I recorded a video just on my cell phone of Ian describing this, because he called it the Essen Spiel Rollen Right, or the Essen Rollen Right, I think. And he's like, yeah. And he's like describing it. He's like, yeah, you write down a booth here, and then there's a little pick up and deliver. And, this is a legacy game because you won't be able to. It was hilarious. I'm going to have to post that video. I took a video that covers like what the Thaloria Quest journal is all about. So maybe I'll tag my cell phone video of Ian on the end of that, because it was pretty hilarious. That's a great idea, because I'm always looking for like, what are the games that I cannot get easily in the US that I can get while I'm at Spiel,
I heard that a lot from people. People were like, well, I'm flying back home, and I want to get them some small box games. And like, Asian publishers are known for their small box games. And so I want to pick some small box games I can fit into my luggage. Also, like, I can get a lot of these titles later at retail here in Europe, but I can't get these Asian ones later on. So I want to get them now.
True.
And it's funny because I talking with Asian publishers, like I know that they like small box games because their tables are typically smaller. They don't have North American sized tables the size of Alaska. And so
right.
And then also, like, when you have a bigger box game and you're shipping it to Spiel, at one point you're just shipping air. And there's that sweet spot where like you need to, and if you have a smaller game, then you have more units in your palette that you could sell more at the same cost of getting bigger games, right? So
yeah, I'm always impressed with like Mo Ideas and different Asian publishers, like how much is packed in smaller boxes. It's awesome. It's so awesome. But speaking of Asian publishers, the other game that I got to play with Justin Bell was at Hobby Japan, and it is a game called Gibberers, Invention of Language and Civilization.
Oh, you got to play it.
I got to play it. Oh, yes.
I've heard so much about this game. I can't wait to hear about your experience.
Okay. Yeah.
If it's anything like I heard, I can't wait to hear it.
Okay, so this is a game designed by Keisei, and it's dropped in 2024. Again, Hobby Japan. It's a party game, cooperative party game that plays with 3 to 5 players. And actually, the only reason it was on my radar is because after I recorded with Cole and Uli and Ben, Cole and I walked somewhere together. We were walking around together, and there were people playing Molly House over at the Osprey booth. And someone handed Cole Gibberers, and he told me, he was like, there's somebody who told him to pick up that game. And he's like, whenever this person, we'll say mystery person, says to get a game, you get the game. There's something special about it. So I was like, oh, I want to go check out this game that mystery person told Cole Worley to pick up. So Justin and I went over there. We were like, waited a little bit to get into a demo. And this game, Gibberers, is a reimplementation of a game from Treehopper Games called Esperization, I guess.
You're good. That's good enough.
Yeah. Close enough. Yeah. But the idea of this game is we are developing a new civilization, and we are trying to create our own language.
Yeah.
And so at the very beginning of the game, I played this at the demo table. So for the demo, to like jump people in earlier, they had some words that were already on the table, like some made up words and what their English meaning was. But then we, the players, we played a 5-player game. 4 of us had to come up with a word for yes, no, I, and understand. So yes, no, I understand. So we all, come up with these words.
What were they? What were they?
Okay. Mine was nayo. That was no. Justin did zay, Z-A-E, for yes. So zay, nayo. And then the other 2 people we were playing with, why do I want to say... Yeah, exactly. The other 2 people, why do I want to say Waya or Waka? It wasn't Waka because I remember the Muppets, but I think it was Waya is I don't remember. Okay. I'll just say keep an eye out for videos I'm posting on BGG because there is a video covering us playing this game. So Zay, yes. So once the game starts, you're not to speak any English, and you alternate being the teacher. And when you're the teacher, you're going to draw a card that has 5 or 6 words on it that are in English, at least the ones that I was demoing. You then, as a teacher, need to come up with a word in your new language to represent that word. And then you have to use the language you've already developed to help everyone guess, like figure out what the word is. And so Exactly. So my word that I made up, it was for birds, and it was scooples. And scooples. Yeah, so I'm like saying like neeple meant not. So it was like neeple, and then I was like not down or something. I was like up, small, and then you could use gestures. So I was like doing this, and then you just like, if you hear us, and Stephen Cordell, who was filming this, can attest, it is just hilarious. And it was such a unique experience and so fun. So I ended up buying it. And then they have like sticker sheets for the English that you put on the cards to, but there is some publisher, I believe, that picked it up to make an official English version. I don't know who.
What I heard about this game, I first discovered this game at Gen Con because I stopped by the Hobby Japan booth and they told me about it. And I was kind of put off because the box says like an hour to 3 hours. I'm like, okay, the party game aspect sounds cool, but like an hour to 3 hours is quite long. So I was very hesitant. But then at Spiel, there were people telling me that there were people at breakfast speaking a language that they invented the night before, having conversations. And I'm like, done. Like, how could you not get that game? And when I went there and it was sold out, I was like, no. And it's so cool that you can have those inside jokes.
Yeah. And if I wasn't jet lag, I would probably remember more of ours. But I mean, imagine Justin and I know each other. We don't know the 2 people playing with us. And then also the lady at the booth who taught us, she ended up playing with us. So we had a 5-player game and she was blown away because she's like, I haven't seen anybody we just had some synergy happening. Yeah. And the 2 people sitting across from us, like, I don't even know if they spoke English well at all. So it was like,
doesn't matter.
Exactly. It was this like really worldly, like very like tribal kind of experience of us making up this language together and also just figuring out how this game works, because it was kind of like a little bumpy initially. Like I was like, I don't fully understand when I'm the teacher, and and then we started playing and it was just a blast. But yeah, apparently there are expert rules that can make this game like a 3-hour experience. Yeah. Unlike any other word games, it says. But like, I'm like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, like, are you writing a constitution? Are you because that 3 hours kind of shocked me. Like, board games don't last that long, do they?
Yeah.
I'm like, are you writing an essay? It's like, I have no idea. Are you preparing a speech? So the 3 hour thing kind of threw me for a loop, and I'm really regretting not picking it up. And because it sounds so
you'll be able to get it. You'll be able to find it.
Because these, Candace, you look at on my screen, and you can see all these games behind me. And something I said before in another interview, it was like just as much as we collect games, we're also collectors of stories.
Right.
And at the end of the year, when we look at our board game shelf, we don't see games, we see stories and memories.
Yeah. Remember I beat Jay at this game. Remember I beat Jay at that game.
Yeah. Or remember when Candace died in Stella Quest. That
was our secret. That was our secret.
But we remember these stand-up moments, and we play games to recapture them.
Yeah.
And so along comes this game, Gibberers, that creates those moments, right away. You're going to remember that. That's going to be a core memory for you. Remember when you just Bell created words, a new language. And it's cool if you do this with your friends, and this game makes these inside jokes that you could repeat later on and later on.
Yeah.
And I think
it was really special.
That makes it so much fun. And I think that's something I didn't think about too. You could have people from different cultures that don't speak the same language.
Yeah.
And they can still play this game together. And it's a
so
talking
cool.
game, which is so wild to me.
So cool. I have one more game I want to mention. Did you have another one? I know we're kind of
I have lots of games that I could talk about. There's 63 here on my floor. I guess one game I would love to talk about that we could do this. We could both talk about games that we haven't played that we're excited to play.
Okay, but I had to talk about one that I played too.
Okay, talk about that first.
Do you want me to do that first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. All right, I'll be quick. But another game I want to mention is Fishing. It's one of the new Friedman Freeze games.
Oh, yes.
Again, deck building, but it's trick taking with deck building. This is a 2024 release from 2F Spiele, and there's an English, and I guess they had an English-German edition there, and then Rio Grande Games is going to do an English-only edition.
Nice.
And there are other publishers doing it in other languages. But in this game, you are playing a trick-taking game where on round 1, you have a deck of 40 cards, 4 suits, 1 through 10.
Perfect.
And when you win a trick, you have these 2 cards in front of you. One's your boat, and one is it's like a fish card. I don't know how to say it. One's a boat, one's your fish card. When you win a trick, you put those cards on top of your fish card. And later, those cards from your fish are going to, at the end of the round, they're going to give you 1 point per card. And then they're going to become part of your deck of cards for future draws. Yeah. So what happens is when you win lots of tricks, as Catherine, who we're playing with, was winning a ton in the first round. She had tons of points, but now her deck to draw from is all of these weaker cards, because as the game progresses, you use different cards that get integrated, and they have cooler abilities, higher numbers, better effects and whatnot. So the people who weren't winning tricks in the first round have to draw from these new cards. Nice. And then all of a sudden, so you're really balancing when you want to take tricks and when you don't want to take tricks.
I love games like this. Yeah.
It's so cool. Yeah. Just that fact of, hey, I'm scoring points, but these cards that I'm winning, for better or for worse, are becoming cards in my deck for the future. Super duper cool. But the other thing I want to just mention about this game, I only got to play it once so far. And it was one of those games where after you play it, you're like, oh, you make some mistakes. And next time you're like, okay, maybe I won't do that, or I need to do more of this. And it's really, really interesting. So I forget who told me, but somebody on day 1 or day 2 was like, oh, Fishing is really good. And I was like, oh, okay. I walked by Friedman one day and I was like, hey, I heard Fishing's really good. He's like, we only have 10 more copies. I'm like, can you please hold me one, please? And it was like one of those, like, I'll see what I can do, but, not guaranteed. And then I guess it was the Saturday. Saturday, we were leaving the hall at close. The train was crazy busy. So Steven, Matt, and I decided we're going to take an Uber because we were starving, exhausted. Yeah. We walk across that bridge by the south entrance, and we're like in that little neighborhood. We're on this little path. It's dark. It's almost like super dark, but it's like it's beyond dusk.
It gets really dark there.
It was dark, and all of a sudden, we're just waiting for our Uber, like 18 minutes or whatever, because it was just crazy. And Friedman walks by with someone, and he's like, Candace, he's like, did you get a copy of Fishing? And I was like, no, I didn't. And he's like, pulls out of his messenger bag a copy that he was holding for me. And I was like, I was so excited.
What are the chances?
I know. The fact that we bumped into each other like outside in this weird location, and that night was the night that I played it, but I ended up playing, I think it was Eric Martin's copy of it. But it's really good. It's really good. There's so many trick-taking games coming out, and I'm so blown away with how there's still so many different ideas to explore with trick-taking. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I love about it, too. And I think that's why people who play 18xx love 18xx, is that it's the same core rule set, and it's the little wrinkles in the design that make it fascinating. And you can still use some of the core strategies.
Heck yeah.
And all the other games. And you can just have fun exploring all these different flavors of trick-taking games.
Yeah.
And it's, because like for me, like I do a lot of trick-taking games because a lot of them come from Japan.
Yeah.
And so like Japan releases like 50 a year or something ridiculous like that. So it's I've gotten to the point now where we could do, there's even a shorthand when you teach. Yeah, must follow, no trump.
Right.
Happens, can leave with this. Let's
like,
go.
Okay, let's go.
And it's like, and I love it when you get that shorthand down and you're playing with people who are experienced and you could explore the game together, and then you have those moments like in round 1 or round 2. So it's Fishing is one that I was really tempted to. I was this spiel was really hard for me because I didn't want to buy any games from like Western publishers because they're getting so many review copies from Asian publishers because it's so much easier for them to be like, oh, here you go, instead of shipping it off.
Right.
So retrospectively, I was thinking, Fishing it's a small box. I can do that. That's fair. That's fair game, right?
You'll get it, Jay, and I bet you'll love it.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, we'll get I think a friend of mine picked it up who lives near here, so I'll definitely play it soon. So I'm very, very excited about it.
Okay, tell me a game that you got that you're excited to play, but you haven't played.
I thought I got all the boosts, the Asian boosts, when I made that map. But I found out, I forgot this one. I missed this one.
You don't have Gibberers.
And I didn't have Gibberers. Well, I mean, I stopped by Hobby Japan, but I was hesitant to get it because of that 3-hour.
Yeah, that is scary. Yeah, I didn't know about that going into it.
Yeah, because I looked at the box, I was like, oh, it's an hour to 3 hours. I'm like, whoa.
What?
I'm like, that should take everyone like a pause, right? So I did a guess. I'll wait and just see. So, and now I will. I stopped by like the Dice Tree Games booth. If you don't know Dice Tree, they're a Korean publisher, and they're known for doing really nice editions. They're known for their book series, and they do really nice editions of old games. So one of them is like they did Winner's Circle, which is an old Kinesia game, I believe.
I think so.
But like
horse racing or something.
But they have like horse miniatures in the game that are just so nice, and they're
cool,
and they're painted, and it just looks gorgeous. And they did one for Ave Caesar, and it's not the size of Alaska, obviously, but the horses are painted, the chariots are like the miniatures are all painted, the card art is spectacular. They do really, really high quality games, and they've been doing this for a long time, like I think like 10 years, and this is when. And we say that now, like, oh, we live in the age of like Everdale Special Edition and like, Castles of Burgundy special edition, this giant monolith in the corner of your game room. But they've been doing that for a while, way before then. And their editions are that standard, like Ravensburger, like letter size boxes.
Yep.
And so I just went in there to say hi. Hey, I love your games. I just want to say hi. That's all. That's all I did. Honestly, I just said hi. And they're like, oh, you're Cardboard East. Here, take this game and review it. And I was like, I don't want to say no, but it was like, their games, if you don't know, are quite heavy because they're very dense and they carry a lot of stuff. And I was like, oh, wow. I was very flattered. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. I just came by to say hi and I like your games. And I picked up the box and I remembered, oh, yes, because I think they have the best version of modern art. Like
I know which one you're talking about now.
They have an easel and a little gavel.
Yes,
like, wow, like, of course you need those. And so I pick it up, I'm like, and it's so heavy, I'm like, oh, this has got to go in my carry-on. Like, I'm not going to punch this out. This is going to be in my backpack or in my carry-on.
Yeah.
Because this will eat up way too much space in the luggage. Because if you don't know this, everyone listening at home, like when you're packing games back home from Spiel, it's not about space, it's about weight. And it's a heavy, but they gave me Scepter of Zavandor, and I had never heard of the game. But I opened up the box when I finally got home, and it was all the pieces are just absolutely gorgeous. Like there are all these acrylic pieces. It came with all these game trays, and everything's already cut up and displayed. Like imagine like your first Oink game where you play it, you're having a great time. Like, okay, now I got to put it away. And you're like, how do I Tetris this back in this tiny little box? Where it's like the second game of Oink. And so imagine that like even bigger for a regular size. Since I opened it up, it is filled to the brim with components.
Wow.
From what I could tell, like there weren't any punch boards. Maybe they were underneath, but I couldn't see any. And like, it just looked really, really nice. And I'm like, I can't wait to sink my teeth into that. It looks so much fun. And it's right there at the very bottom.
Is it a remake or is it?
Yeah, it's a remake. Scepter of, it's apparently like I think the tagline on BGG was like, be the greatest wizard through shopping. Which is, which I guess speaks to us all in a way,
Yeah.
So I know absolutely nothing, but I'm super stoked to try it, and because heavy games don't exist too often in Asia, but when they do, they're like this rare thing, and sometimes it's a hit or a miss. But Dynasty Games has a good track record, so I'm really looking forward to tearing into that. But one game I did play.
What?
I'm gonna do a double up because you gotta double up.
Yeah,
here we go.
Yeah, do it. Double up.
This is another Baby Shark game.
Okay, but not your favorite Baby Shark game of the con.
I don't know. It's a toss up. This was from Jelly Games. I think I might do a top 10 Baby Shark games. I think that would be a fun category to do for games.
Fixer? What is it?
No, it's not Fixer. It's YUBIBO.
Okay.
Now, if she said Fixer, for any of you who don't know, Fixer is a trick-taking game that was at Jelly Games. And they only had a few games. They sold out of everything.
I didn't get to get anything.
But
from them. Poor Candace.
Candace, well, next time I see you, maybe we PAX you, I'll bring some games and we'll play some stuff.
Yeah.
We'll play some late night Baby Shark games and you'll love it. But this game is called YUBIBO, and it is like a quintessential Baby Shark game. Like it's you draw. It's nothing but chopsticks and balls and like cards. That's all. So like you flip over a card, and it's just like Twister. Left hand, right foot, and it's like you'll pick up a chopstick, and then it says like index finger to like thumb. So I'll pick someone else in the group. And I put the chopstick, I use my index finger, and they use their thumb. And we have to hold that chopstick together with our hands.
Wow.
Like constantly applying pressure. And then as you get more and more cards, you're putting your hands and you're holding more and more chopsticks with your hands together in this group. With this weird contraption. And the balls are hilarious because you have to put the balls between chopsticks and like you're holding the balls so that way they don't fall. And
that seems hard.
Oh, it's hilarious in all the right ways. Because you're playing and then you realize you have to draw a card.
Oh my gosh. As you're holding chopsticks trying to hold up balls.
But it's just really funny. It's just like, it's so simple, but it's so much fun to do. And it's I had a great time playing it, and it's and you know, at the worst part about the game is when someone laughs and then it just everything scatters everywhere. Like, thankfully the balls are made of like styrofoam, so they don't like, they're not racquetballing away into oblivion.
Yeah. What is this called again?
YUBIBO. YUBIBO.
YUBIBO. Okay, cool.
I only presume that's how you say it. I mean, that's how I would say it. YUBIBO. YUBIBO. Zay. Nayo.
All right. We probably should stop talking. I mean, I know we could talk about games forever, and I love hearing your recommendations because I need your map next year. I need your map.
I will make a map next year.
Yeah. Like that is super cool. But because you just threw out a silly game, silly fun game, I will quickly mention something I brought back that I did not play that I'm excited to play that might be just as wild as Gibberers, and it's called Beatz'n'Catz.
Beatz'n'Catz.
Yes, I always put show notes, and I believe there's going to be an English version of this, but somebody told me about it, and I went to the booth, and you'll see people at tables playing this, and it's, I think the English version is like Beatz'n'Catz, like Beatz'n'Catz. So everybody...
Oh, music. I thought it's actually beats, like the vegetable. No.
No.
I'm so confused.
Oh my God, no. But it's a cooperative party game, and we're all going Beatz'n'Catz. Yeah, together. And then you're going to flip a card over, and the card's going to tell you to do something. And you're doing it to the beat. And then you do like maybe clap, Beatz'n'Catz. Yeah, Beatz'n'Catz. But then you have to flip that card face down and reveal another one. And you're still Beatz'n'Catz, and it's like escalating to this memory kind of music making game. And I forget who is going to be bringing this to the US. But again, I'll link it in the show notes. I didn't get to play it, but it looked like another just wild cooperative party game. Oh,
that reminds me of Parappa the Rapper.
What?
Parappa the Rapper is this old PlayStation game.
Oh, I never heard of this before.
I'm old. That's all. That's why. That's all. Where it's just one of the first rhythm games.
Okay.
Where you have to press buttons and you're trying to rap to the beat. Parappa the Rapper. Yeah, and it's like this little dog with a beanie. You can watch it, like the songs are super catchy, like punch, kick, it's all in the mind. That's like 30 years old. I still remember that.
Hey, where was that song when I asked you to sing earlier to make some music?
I sang.
I mean, it wasn't a Parappa the Rapper.
I cannot sing to save my soul, Candace.
I heard you sing earlier, so we'll discuss this later, Jay, offline. No, but seriously, thanks so much. Like, I'm glad.
It's an honor to be here.
I'm so glad we got to chat. I could definitely keep chatting with you, but it's gonna take me forever to edit this if it gets any longer.
Or it could just be uncut. Candace Uncut.
Candace and Jay Uncut.
Yeah. Just like the monk in Hall 5. Just like, you know.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't mean it like that. Just like Friar Tucked Untucked.
Untucked. Friar Tucked Untucked. Oh my gosh. No, but seriously, it was great catching up with you, Jay. I'm kind of glad we didn't get to talk much at the show so we could get a lot of it out here. And I definitely have more things to say, more games to play. Ooh. Maybe I'm a parappa rapper.
You are. That's going to be the new way you edit. More things to say, more games to play. Follow, like, subscribe.
And we're having too much fun. We're jet lagged. Anyways, I'm looking forward to BGG Con. I also probably will be going to SD HistCon as well. I'm still not sure about PAX Unplugged, but sorry.
That's okay.
Did I upset you?
A little.
I'm unsure. We'll see.
This is my heart breaking. When you break open my heart, you hear the sound of baby shark, baby shark, baby shark, baby shark.
Oh gosh, no, stop. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm so sorry for Jay's behavior here.
Outlandish behavior. How dare you? I'm going to tell your mommy shark.
My mommy shark listens to this podcast. But I don't know if she knows what baby shark is.
Billions of people do. How can she not?
Well,
this would be a perfect time to tell her.
We'll find out. Awesome. Thanks a lot, Jay.
It's my pleasure. Anytime, Candace. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
You've been listening to the Board Game Geek podcast, produced and edited by Candace Harris. Special thanks to Matt Fonda for editing and mixing our music. Be sure to visit us on the web at BoardGameGeek.com. You can also find us on YouTube, Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitch under Board Game Geek. You can reach us by email at podcast@BoardGameGeek.com. Thanks for listening and happy gaming!
Baby shark, baby shark,
baby shark, baby shark. Great, Jay. Thank you. Thanks. That's going to be stuck in my head.